Chapter 1396. There were humans everywhere. No, it should be said that they were all sages. Man was just a human. However, sages included all the races that had cultivated to become sages in the holy world: humans, demons, and saints. Before entering the holy tomb, the Black Dragon Mountain Range was also filled with sages. However, it paled in comparison to the current situation. It was also because of this that Murong Yu's sudden appearance did not attract the attention of others. However, Murong Yu was rather curious about why they were gathered together. However, Murong Yu did not need to ask because everyone around him was talking about it. Not long after, Murong Yu already knew the ins and outs of the matter. These people were gathered here because there was an undead riot on the 4th floor of the Holy Tomb. A few days ago, the Undead Kingdom's undead came out in full force and wantonly killed the sages on the 4th floor of the Holy Tomb. This was because the sages who stayed on the 4th floor were not particularly powerful. Therefore, when the Undead Kingdom's undead came out in full force, these sages began to fall in large numbers. Although there were powerful sages who continuously passed through the 4th floor of the Holy Tomb and wanted to go to the 5th floor. However, the Undead Kingdom's super powerhouses almost came out in full force. Therefore, even the super powerhouses among the sages could only be killed. Moreover, these undead never acted alone and were often in group. When sages saw them, they could only turn around and run. 3 days. In just 3 days, there were no more sages on the 4th floor of the Holy Tomb. Other than the sages who escaped, most of them were killed by the undead. Now, the entire 4th floor of the Holy Tomb was filled with undead. Especially the entrances to the 4th and 5th floors, they were guarded by the Undead Kingdom's top powerhouses. Those on the 3rd floor could not enter the 4th floor, and those on the 5th floor and above did not dare to enter the 4th floor. This was because many people had tried to break through the Undead Kingdom's blockade. However, as soon as they stepped into the entrance, their soul jade slips exploded. This resulted in the current situation. Those on the 5th floor and above could not leave the Holy Tomb, and those on the 4th floor and below did not dare to enter the Holy Tomb. The 4th floor became a lightning pool that no one dared to take half a step into. As long as the undead race did not retreat, the saints would not be able to enter or leave, unless some particularly powerful saints barged in. It's said that someone killed an undead king of the Undead Kingdom. The Undead King had a very special status in the Undead Kingdom. This was why the super powerhouses of the Undead Kingdom were so furious. That was why he was in such a state. Countless people died because of that person. I wonder which bastard did it. Since you dared to kill the Undead King, don't run away. Damn it, if I find out who he is, I'll definitely tie him up and send him to the Undead Kingdom. This will delay our treasure hunt in the Saint Tomb. I hope that bastard doesn't have an anus in his children. Shoo, since that person can kill the powerful Undead King, his strength must be very terrifying. If these words are heard, then you are dead meat. Maybe he's right beside us. What are you afraid of? That person didn't seem to care at all, but his voice gradually became softer and softer until he finally stopped talking. Murong Yu's face darkened, because he was right next to the people who were talking. These bastards were simply scolding him to his face. However, Murong Yu didn't show up or anything. If he exposed his identity at this time, then these people with surging emotions would definitely join forces to kill him. Because these people weren't the only ones who were scolding him, but people everywhere were scolding him. I wonder how little Loli and the others are doing? While Murong Yu's face darkened, he couldn't help but think of little Loli, Yang Hao, Xian Hua, Fan Jian, and the others. Especially little Loli and the other two. They were all outside the Undead Kingdom back then, so he wondered if they had escaped? There were too many people here, and Murong Yu couldn't guarantee that there weren't any peerless powerhouses hiding in the crowd. Therefore, he didn't dare to use his divine thought to scan the crowd. Therefore, he shuttled through the crowd. However, there were too many people here, and after half a day, he still couldn't find little Lowly and the other acquaintances. Murong Yu's aura suddenly appeared, and it's in this position? While Murong Yu was looking for little Lowly and the others, several true Martial Temple's outer palace disciples, who had been resting with their eyes closed, suddenly opened their eyes. If Murong Yu was here, he would discover that these people's strength was extremely terrifying, and they had actually reached the ancient sage realm. True Martial Temple was one of the two most powerful cultivation holy lands in the human race. Odd job disciples were at the undead realm, while the official disciples, or outer palace disciples, were at least at the undead realm. Outer palace disciples at the ancient sage realm were already the top existences among the outer palace disciples. This was because as long as one reached the holy king realm, which was above the ancient sage realm, one could be promoted to become an inner palace disciple of true Martial Temple. The 5 ancient sages opened their eyes at the same time, and then took out their identity tokens to confirm Murong Yu's position. Then, they all soared into the sky and flew in the direction of Murong Yu. They did not come from true Martial Temple. If they had received an order from true Martial Temple's outer palace in the Black Dragon Holy Country, they would have rushed to the Saint Tomb. However, before they could enter the Saint Tomb, the undead riot happened. Therefore, they waited in the Black Dragon mountain range. However, many days had passed, and there was no trace of Murong Yu. They thought that Murong Yu had been killed by the undead. However, they did not expect that Murong Yu's aura would suddenly appear today. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Murong Yu was shuttling through the crowd when he suddenly felt that he was locked on by several extremely powerful divine senses. Thus, Murong Yu coldly sneered and stood still in place. The moment he stood still, the 5 true Martial Temple's experts appeared beside him and surrounded him. Undead Realm. When they saw Murong Yu, the 5 ancient sages could not help but exclaim. According to the information they received, Murong Yu was only in the 3rd level Undead Realm. However, Murong Yu had only been in the Saint Tomb for a few days, and he had already broken through from the 3rd level Undead Realm to the Undead Realm? This speed was too heaven-defying. Murong Yu must have encountered a great opportunity in the Saint Tomb. The 5 ancient sages smiled at each other, and their hearts began to move. The reason why they wanted to kill Murong Yu was that they had received a promise from a few people in the outer palace. They did not have any enmity with Murong Yu in the first place. However, if Murong Yu really had encountered a great opportunity in the Saint Tomb, they would definitely make a big profit. Murong Yu, kill yourself. One of the ancient sages stepped forward and said indifferently. Even if Murong Yu was in the undead realm, they did not put him in their eyes. After all, they were all ancient sages. You are from true Martial Temple? The 5 ancient sages did not wear true Martial Temple's disciple robes. However, Murong Yu could still sense that they were true Martial Temple's disciples. He vaguely felt that there was something on him that had an extremely obscure connection with them. Could it be an identity token? Murong Yu's heart skipped a beat. Although he had joined true Martial Temple, he did not cultivate true Martial Temple's cultivation methods, so it was impossible for there to be a connection between them. Therefore, it could only be an identity token. Kid, don't blame us. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself. A mere servant disciple dared to offend the outer palace's big shots. That's right, we are true Martial Temple's outer palace disciples. One of the ancient sages smiled sinisterly, looking at Murong Yu with eyes full of cruelty. Cut the crap. Take him down and read his memories. I'm very curious. How can he be so heaven-defying? Another ancient sages smiled sinisterly and slowly approached Murong Yu. They spoke without restraint, not afraid of others hearing them. This was because when they appeared, they had set up several soundproof restrictions around them. I'm very curious. How did you find me? Anyway, I'm going to be killed by you. Can you let me know before I die? Hearing the words of these ancient sages, Murong Yu's heart was already bursting with endless killing intent. However, He still smiled and said to these ancient sages, "There's no harm in telling you. Every identity token has a soul imprint. As long as we capture your soul aura, we can sense your existence within a certain range through our identity tokens," one of the ancient sages said impatiently. As he spoke, he had already stretched out his hand, tore through the void, and ruthlessly smashed down on Murong Yu's head. "I see. However, are you so confident that you can kill me? Didn't the person who asked you to kill me tell you that in addition to my heaven-defying talent in refining weapons and alchemy, I'm also a sage who controls souls? Someone who controls the laws of time?" Murong Yu took a step back and directly dodged the attack of the ancient sages. At the same time, he sneered. The 5 ancient sages were shocked, but it was soon followed by wild joy. Murong Yu was actually so heaven-defying. If they could obtain these abilities. However, they did not think about why Murong Yu would tell them. Were these secrets something that could be casually revealed to others? The reason Murong Yu told them this was because Murong Yu had already decided to kill them. Time reversal. Murong Yu stepped forward and sneered. 5 streams of the power of time shot out, directly enveloping the 5 ancient sages who were unprepared, and directly sent them into an alternate dimension. Just 5 low-level ancient sages. The strongest one is only a 2nd-level ancient sage. Watch how I kill you. Murong Yu sneered inwardly as the heaven-destroying star cataclysm shot out. Pooh! 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 Before the 5 ancient sages who were sent into an alternate dimension could react, Murong Yu's soul energy had already rushed into their soul space. Then, before they could even react, their souls would have already been cut into pieces. Chapter 1397. With the power of time, soul, and Murong Yu's formidable strength at the imperishable stage, he was able to kill 5 ancient sages in an instant. In fact, the reason why the 5 of them were killed so quickly by Murong Yu was not only because of Murong Yu's strength, but also because they did not take Murong Yu seriously and did not understand Murong Yu's relationship with him. Otherwise, if they had been on guard and treated him seriously, Murong Yu would not have been able to kill all of them even if he could kill 1 or 2 of them. As the saying goes, even a lion has to use all its strength to hunt down a rabbit. These people were killed by him. After destroying the souls of the 5 people, Murong Yu devoured their shattered soul power. Although it was not very useful, it was better than nothing. At the same time, he flicked his finger, and 5 flame of primal chaos shot out, instantly burning the bodies of the 5 people to ashes. Of course, Murong Yu did not waste their storage rings. Regarding this, no one who saw this scene said anything. After all, this kind of thing happened too often. As long as it did not affect them, it was fine. Murong Yu had just removed the few soundproof restrictions, and was about to continue looking for little Loli when an even more powerful divine thought broke through the air. It tore through the void and fiercely suppressed him. Holy King! Murong Yu frowned slightly, and his face immediately became gloomy. He had seen the aura of many holy kings, so he could directly determine the strength of the other party. While Murong Yu was frowning, a figure had already appeared in front of Murong Yu out of thin air. An extremely powerful aura swept over like a stormy sea, fiercely suppressing Murong Yu, wanting to directly tear Murong Yu apart. At the same time that the figure appeared, a large hand broke through the void and quickly grabbed at Murong Yu. "How dare you kill the disciples of true martial temple, you deserve to die." As he spoke, the attack became fiercer and fiercer. Murong Yu was infuriated. Everyone was a disciple of the true martial temple, yet others were allowed to kill him, but he was not allowed to kill others? What kind of logic was this? If this person wasn't an accomplice of those people, then he was someone who couldn't tell right from wrong. However, this person was a saint king, so he should be an inner disciple of the true martial temple. With a cold snort, the power of time shot out and sent the void in front of him into a different space. The reason why he did not directly send the Holy King into the alternate space-time was because That was because he knew that with his power of time, he would not be able to send the Holy King into a different space-time. There was a difference of 4 major realms between him and a Saint King. The power of time would be shattered before it could even get close to him. On the other hand, Murong Yu had sent the void in front of him into a different time and space. Although it would quickly shatter, he was only using the power of time to stop the Saint King's attack. Sure enough, the Sage King's large hand directly reached into the alternate space. He couldn't reach Murong Yu's body at all. On the contrary, the distance between him and Murong Yu was increasing. The Saint King was shocked, but he quickly reacted. With a shake of his large hand, the power of time was shattered, and the Saint King's large hand returned to the current space-time. At this moment, Murong Yu's body had already swayed, and he retreated violently. Time imprisonment! Murong Yu roared in his heart. The power of time shot out and imprisoned the space-time in front of him. Sensing the abnormality of the current space-time, the Saint King vaguely thought that Murong Yu had reversed the space-time in front of him again. Therefore, his large hand shook again, and a terrifying power burst out, directly shattering the time imprisonment. The so-called time imprisonment was to stop the flow of time and stay in the original space-time. In reality, it was equivalent to reversing space-time. Swoosh! 2 pairs of demon wings appeared on Murong Yu's back, and then they flapped violently. Then, Murong Yu broke through the void and rushed into the distance. Demon tribe! The Saint King disciple of the true martial sacred hall roared. He stomped the ground, and with a shake of his body, he broke through the void and quickly chased after Yi Shiwen. At the same time, he reached out his large hand and grabbed at Murong Yu. His speed was far faster than Murong Yu's. In just an instant, his large hand had already enveloped Murong Yu, breaking through the void around Murong Yu, and viciously crushing down on him. The Saint King's terrifying aura was even more terrifying. It covered the sky and pressed down on Murong Yu's body like a flood. The impact caused cracks to appear on his body, which had reached the level of a lower sacred weapon, as if it was going to crack open. The difference in strength between the two was too great. Whether it was in terms of strength or speed, Murong Yu was far inferior to the Saint King. However, Murong Yu did not want to die, so he had to escape. Soul-devouring slash! Just as the Saint King's attack was about to land on Murong Yu, the soul attack that Murong Yu had been preparing for a long time finally came out, viciously slashing at the Saint King's soul. With a chi, Murong Yu's soul-devouring slash had already rushed into the Saint King's soul space, and then quickly attacked his soul. The Saint King was caught off guard and was immediately shocked. However, his reaction was extremely fast. With a thought, a stormy wave of power surged into the Saint King's soul space. While protecting his soul, he also attacked Murong Yu's soul power. However, he was unable to continue attacking Murong Yu. Time reversal! This time, Murong Yu directly struck out half of the remaining power of time, viciously hitting the Saint King's body, sending him into a different space. At the same time, Murong Yu broke through the void and began to travel through it. As long as he left this shattered space, he would be able to enter He Tu and Luo Shu. Qi. However, just as Murong Yu was about to leave the shattered space, a white sword ray with a shocking sword intent shot out from the crowd. It shattered the void, the sky, and the distance between space and time. It directly appeared above Murong Yu's head and slashed down. Chi-chi, all the hair on Murong Yu's body instantly stood on end. His already cracked body finally tore open, and streams of blood spurted out like a fountain. Blood splattered across the sky. This sword ray was much more dangerous than the Saint King from the true martial temple. Although the Saint King was powerful, he only gave Murong Yu a sense of extreme danger. However, this sword ray gave Murong Yu a sense of death. One was danger, the other was death. Everyone knew which was the greater threat. Hichu Luo Shu. Inyang Cauldron. Inyang Bao, Heaven-shaking arrow. In an instant, Murong Yu took out his most powerful treasure, fiercely attacking that sword ray. As for the heavenly purple rosette pagoda, Murong Yu never thought of taking it out. There were only 2 people who wanted to kill him now, but if he took out the heavenly purple rosette pagoda, most of the people in the holy world would probably hunt him down. Chi. At the same time Murong Yu took out his 3 most powerful treasures, another white sword ray shot out from the crowd, tearing through the void and slashing toward him. However, this sword ray's target was not Murong Yu, but the Saint King behind Murong Yu, who had already shattered Murong Yu's soul attack and returned to the present time. One after the other, the 2 sword rays arrived in front of Murong Yu and the Saint King at almost the same time, and then slashed down fiercely. Bang! 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 Murong Yu's 3 top-tier treasures rushed forward, one after the other, to collide with the sword ray. However, the strength of that sword ray was too strong. At the moment of collision, the yin-yang cauldron was sent flying. The terrifying overflow of damage directly suppressed Murong Yu's mind. His mind was immediately shattered into pieces. Murong Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. However, at the same time, the yin-yang bow and the heaven-shaking arrow were also sent flying. Immediately, Murong Yu's mind, which was already shattered, was torn into pieces. Whoosh! The Hichu Luoshu expanded with the wind, directly wrapping around the sword ray. At the same time when the 2 sides were about to collide, He Tu and Luoshu suddenly opened up and directly swallowed the sword light. Chaos Saint Bloodline Ignite. Time Reversal. Space Transfer. After the sword ray entered the Hichu Luoshu, Murong Yu immediately used various methods to suppress it. However, the sword ray was still too terrifying. With Murong Yu's current strength, he could not suppress it at all. Therefore, the overflow of damage continuously impacted Murong Yu's body, suppressing him until his body kept trembling. His mind was greatly shaken, and he spat out blood. His mind was severely injured. Murong Yu was seriously injured. At this time, the Hichu Luoshu world was almost completely shattered by the sword ray. However, the sword ray had only shrunk by less than a quarter. If it continued, the entire Hichu Luoshu world would be shattered and return to chaos. In that case, Murong Yu could not even enter the Hichu Luoshu. Moreover, everything he had in the Hichu Luoshu would be destroyed. Therefore, Murong Yu's mind immediately split open a huge hole in the Hichu Luoshu. Then, the sword ray reappeared in the Hichu Luoshu. However, under the dual effects of Murong Yu's time power and space power, the sword ray was transferred to another place. Puff! At the same time that Murong Yu suppressed the sword ray, Sage King, who was also attacked, trembled violently and spat out blood. His entire body cracked. However, the sword ray was also shattered by Sage King's punch. However, Sage King also knew that he was no match for that person. He snorted coldly and took a step forward, disappearing on the spot and fleeing into the distance. Seeing that Murong Yu had actually blocked the sword ray's attack, the crowd exclaimed in surprise. However, very quickly, another sword ray shot up into the sky and tore through the void. It locked onto Murong Yu and slashed towards him. Murong Yu's expression changed drastically. He had already used up all of his strength in that sword gleam, and he had only managed to transfer it over. Now that there was another one, he would definitely die. Chapter 1398. Murong Yu's mind was about to be torn into millions of pieces. He was seriously injured. At this moment, the only thing Murong Yu could do in the face of this shocking sword ray was to turn around and flee. However, with his speed and the terrifying sword light, he knew in his heart that it was absolutely impossible for him to escape. However, he was not someone who would sit and wait for death. Enter Hichu Luoshu or be teleported back to the realm of the gods. Even if he had to enter the spatial turbulence, he would accept it. After all, Murong Yu had reached the undead stage. With an unlimited lifespan, Morong Yu would walk out of the spatial turbulence one day. However, just as Morong Yu was about to take the risk of entering the spatial turbulence and enter Hichu Luoshu Chi, another sword light with a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth appeared in the crowd. However, the sword ray that was aimed at Morong Yu was white in color, while this sword ray was cyan in color. The speed of the green sword light was faster than the white sword light. The power that it exploded with was also much more terrifying than the white sword light. However, Morong Yu did not feel threatened by the green sword light. It seemed like someone had stepped in to save the green sword light. This thought suddenly appeared in Morong Yu's mind. Very soon, his guess was confirmed. The green sword light shattered space and appeared beside the white sword light in the blink of an eye. Then, it violently slashed the white sword light. Boom! After a deafening explosion, the two sword lights exploded in the sky. The terrifying impact swept out in all directions in an instant, shattering the nearby void. Moreover, it was like a raging wave that rushed even further away. The terrifying impact swept past like a flood. Some of the sages nearby did not manage to retreat in time. Many of them were directly turned into clouds of blood mist and died completely. Even more people were sent flying. Some were seriously injured, while others were lightly injured. Chi. At the same time, the azure sword ray shot out from the crowd again. It tore through space and charged towards where the white sword ray had appeared. He actually wanted to kill the expert who had attacked Morong Yu. However, the other party was also a super expert. The white sword light tore through the air. Seeing the two super experts fighting, the surrounding sages were all horrified. They quickly retreated, afraid that they would be affected by their power and be implicated in it. In the end, they would die an unjust death. Morong Yu also retreated. Experts of that level were not people he could get involved in. However, he did not leave this place. After retreating to a safe distance, he recovered his mind and looked ahead. He was rather curious as to who had saved him. One had to know that he basically did not have many friends in the saints' world. Little Loli, Yang Hao, Xian Hua, and the others were his friends, but who had such powerful strength. As for Zhao Jiqing, when Zhao Jiqing saw that Morong Yu was being chased, she would definitely come to his rescue. However, Zhao Jiqing did not have the strength to do so. Moreover, although she was the Phoenix clan's holy maiden, Morong Yu knew that the experts of the Phoenix clan would not come to his rescue. It was also because of the experts of the Phoenix clan that Morong Yu was not worried that something would happen to Zhao Jiqing. This was because Morong Yu had Zhao Jiqing's soul jade slip and communication jade slip. As long as Zhao Jiqing was in danger, Morong Yu would definitely teleport over immediately. The reason why he did not secretly take Zhao Jiqing away now was that Morong Yu did not have enough resources and environment for Zhao Jiqing to cultivate. Zhao Jiqing was the Phoenix clan's holy maiden. She could use a large amount of the Phoenix clan's resources to cultivate. What Morong Yu wanted to do was to openly take Zhao Jiqing away from the Phoenix clan after he became stronger. This was what a man should do. Could it be little Loli's people? Morong Yu frowned slightly. After thinking about it, Morong Yu felt that this was the most likely possibility. However, the azure sword ray gave Morong Yu a familiar feeling, as if he had seen it before. Who is it? Morong Yu retreated violently again. This was because the void in front of him was filled with green and white sword lights. Billions of sword lights were colliding, crashing, and blasting. The sword chi was rampant, the killing intent was shocking, and the void shattered. It was extremely terrifying. Whoosh! Suddenly, a green figure stepped into the air from the ground and rushed to the side where the white sword light came from. At this moment, Morong Yu's face suddenly revealed a look of surprise. Old Yang Lin? Old man? That's right. The green figure who was constantly brandishing out green sword lights was old Yang Lin, the enforcer of Huaxia's world of cultivation. Sacred Monarch Realm? After Murong Yu cried out in alarm, he saw the powerful light radiating from Yanglin's body and cried out in alarm again. Old Yanglin was the enforcer of Huaxia's world of cultivation and had always been relatively strong. Ever since Murong Yu stepped down from his position as the enforcer, Murong Yu rarely saw him. Even after Murong Yu took control of the immortal and god realms, he didn't see him again. Murong Yu wondered more than once if old Yanglin had died. However, at the critical juncture of life and death, old Yanglin would appear in time to save the day. Each time, old Yanglin's strength would shock Murong Yu. Murong Yu had the chaos celestial body, the strongest constitution in the world. His aptitude was becoming more and more outstanding. However, compared to old Yanglin, it seemed that his aptitude was far inferior. Who dares to stop the Daybreak Divine Sect from killing a traitor? You're courting death. A thunderous voice soared into the sky, causing the void to tremble and shatter. At the same time, a middle-aged man in gray stepped into the sky and attacked old Yanglin like a ray of light. Daybreak Divine Sect. Murong Yu's expression slightly changed. Could it be that they know that I took the Violet Heavenly Civ Pagoda? They actually want to kill me. I wonder what they will think if my identity as a disciple of the true martial sacred hall is exposed. Murong Yu sneered in his heart. However, Murong Yu didn't want to rely on his identity. After all, even if the Daybreak Divine Sect was apprehensive about his identity, they wouldn't do anything to him on the surface. However, they definitely wouldn't let him go in secret. Moreover, Murong Yu felt a lot more at ease after seeing an expert from the Daybreak Divine Sect take action. At the very least, they wouldn't leak the news of him obtaining the Violet Heavenly Civ Pagoda. Otherwise, Murong Yu wouldn't be able to stay in the true martial sacred hall. At the same time, Murong Yu's expression turned gloomy. This was because the aura of the expert from the Daybreak Divine Sect was much stronger than old Yanglin's. He might be in the ancestor sage realm. Otherwise, an ordinary sage ruler wouldn't be able to kill the true martial sacred hall's sage ruler with a single slash. One had to know that the resources and treasures of the true martial sacred hall's disciples couldn't be compared to the disciples of other sections. It could even be said that the true martial sacred hall's ancient sage disciples were comparable to ordinary sage rulers. This was why so many people wanted to enter the true martial sacred hall and similar powerful sections. However, although old Yanglin's cultivation wasn't as high as the Daybreak Divine Sect's expert, he wasn't weak. However, his strength wasn't weak at all. As he slashed out with his sword, he forced the experts of the Daybreak God Sect to retreat step by step. It couldn't be said that they were defeated, but they couldn't force old Yanglin back. Old Yanglin had the upper hand. Old Yanglin's situation isn't looking good. Murong Yu furrowed his brows. Although Yanglin had the upper hand right now, Murong Yu had no choice but to frown. Although the Daybreak Divine Sect had the upper hand, there wasn't only one person from the Daybreak Divine Sect. There were several experts nearby who were watching covetously. Some of them were even slowly approaching Murong Yu. However, old Yanglin couldn't do anything by himself. Moreover, he seemed to be strong on the outside but weak on the inside. This was because Murong Yu realized that every slash of old Yanglin's sword consumed a considerable amount of his strength. If this continued, old Yanglin would definitely die. Old man, retreat first. Murong Yu didn't want old Yanglin to lose his life, so he transmitted a message. During this process, he had already entered the Hichu Luoshu world. Boom, boom, boom. The moment Murong Yu disappeared, the experts from the Daybreak Divine Sect who had locked onto him attacked. However, Murong Yu had already teleported away. How could he still be hit? Seeing that Murong Yu wasn't left behind, the experts from the Daybreak Divine Sect looked gloomy. Waves of terrifying energy blasted out, shattering the nearby void. However, to their disappointment, there was still no trace of Murong Yu. Kill him! The experts from the Daybreak Divine sect roared at old Yang Lin with a gloomy face and immediately pounced forward. If it wasn't for old Yang Lin, Murong Yu would have already been a fish on their chopping board. Ha ha ha! Seeing that Murong Yu had left, old Yang Lin immediately laughed out loud. Several waves of sword light slashed out, killing every expert from the Daybreak Divine sect. He then turned into a stream of light, stepped on the void, and shot into the distance. Old Yang Lin wasn't worried about Murong Yu because he knew that Murong Yu was at least an enforcer of the Huaxiao world of self-cultivators. He could teleport back to the world of self-cultivators. Kill. The experts from the Daybreak Divine sect were enraged and quickly chased after him. At this moment, Murong Yu stepped out of the Hichu Luoshu and chased after them. He could see that old Yang Lin was an arrow at the end of its flight. He might be able to escape from the experts from the Daybreak Divine sect, but he might not. Regardless of the situation, Murong Yu would catch up to old Yang Lin. After all, old Yang Lin was his only old friend in the Holy World. Meeting an old friend in a foreign land, Murong Yu wanted to catch up with old Yang Lin. Of course, Murong Yu was most curious about how old Yang Lin's strength had increased so quickly. With one chasing and one fleeing, they quickly left the Black Dragon Mountain range. Sure enough, it was as Murong Yu had expected. Old Yang Lin's strength was indeed very strong. However, he was already an arrow at the end of its flight. In the end, as his strength continued to be depleted, his speed became slower and slower. The experts from the Daybreak Divine sect were getting closer and closer. Chapter 1399. Boom. 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 Yang Lin wasn't someone who would give up without a fight. When the experts from Daybreak Divine sect caught up to him, he turned around and engaged in a fierce battle with them. However, although he was powerful, he was only a sage ruler. On the other hand, the experts from Daybreak Divine sect had already reached the Ancestor Sage realm. Moreover, Yang Lin had exhausted too much of his strength. If the other party was only an Ancestor Sage, he might be able to kill him. However, the other party had several Ancestor Sages and he wasn't their match. After several battles, Yang Lin had exhausted even more of his strength. He was like a lamp that had run out of oil. However, his opponents had already caught up with him and surrounded him. Each of them was brimming with murderous aura as they looked at Yang Lin. This was the scene that Murong Yu saw when he arrived. Originally, his speed was far slower than the Ancestor Sages of Daybreak Divine sect. But because they had been fleeing and fighting at the same time, their speed had slowed down. Not good, the old man is already at his limit. If this continues, he'll definitely die. Murong Yu's face immediately changed when he saw this scene. Yang Lin was in such a predicament because he wanted to save him. He definitely wouldn't allow Yang Lin to be killed. You want to kill me? You're still too inexperienced. Although he was surrounded by the Ancestor Sages of Daybreak Divine sect and their terrifying auras were constantly pressing down on him, Yang Lin didn't panic. Instead, he sneered. Attack, kill him. That treasure might be on him. The Ancestor Sages of Daybreak Divine sect roared as they stretched out their hands to grab Yang Lin. Yang Lin sneered. As a powerful existence who had wandered the cultivation world, the immortal world, the divine world, and the holy world, how could he not have a powerful life-saving move to be able to reach his current level? If he didn't have one, he would have died long ago. Seeing the experts of Daybreak Divine sect make their move, Yang Lin sneered in his heart and was about to use his life-saving move. However, Murong Yu's voice suddenly rang in his ears. Old man, hold on. I'm coming to save you. Old Yang Lin was shocked when he heard Murong Yu's voice. Previously, he thought that Murong Yu had already teleported back to the cultivation world, which was why he was so shocked. Murong Yu, don't interfere. You can't save me. After recovering from his shock, Yang Lin immediately transmitted his voice over. Although Murong Yu was powerful, these were all ancestral sages, existences that could easily kill him. While he was transmitting his voice to Morongyu, the old man did not stop using his own life-saving technique. However, at this moment, an extremely terrifying aura appeared out of thin air. In an instant, purple light shone brightly. The dazzling purple light illuminated the void within a radius of 100 million miles, making it seem as if purple chi was coming from the east. It's the aura of the purple light heavenly Civ Tower. When this terrifying aura appeared, the ancestor sages of Daybreak God sect revealed looks of surprise and shock. They were pleasantly surprised because they finally saw the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda. As long as the supreme weapon was still there, they still had hope of seizing it. However, they were shocked because the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda was being used to suppress them. This was a supreme weapon. Even if it was just casually smashed down, ordinary people would not be able to withstand it, let alone use it to suppress them. Therefore, at almost the same time, the 5 ancestor sages of Daybreak God sect gave up on Yang Lin. The blood in their bodies surged as their auras surged. Terrifying energy constantly erupted and covered their bodies, forming layers of incomparably tough energy shield. They even stretched out their large hands and grabbed the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda that was rapidly descending from the sky. To them, there was nothing more important than seizing the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda. Heavenly sifting pagoda. After using the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda, Morongyu once again launched a soul attack. He directly attacked the ancestor sages of Daybreak God sect. A supreme weapon. When the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda appeared, Yang Lin's face revealed a look of shock. However, he was not an ordinary person. His reaction speed was extremely fast. When the experts of Daybreak God sect reached for the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda, he had already retreated. Old Yang Lin, enter my treasure space first. Don't resist. Morongyu's voice resounded in Yang Lin's ears. At the same time, an incomparably powerful energy acted on Yang Lin's body. Yang Lin did not resist and was pulled into the Hichu Luoshu by Morongyu. At the same time, Morongyu's soul attack ruthlessly slashed at the experts of Daybreak God sect. The experts of Daybreak God sect were all focused on the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda. However, when the heavenly sifting pagoda slashed over, their souls couldn't help but tremble violently. A dangerous aura rose from them. They were immediately shocked and immediately retracted their energy to block Morongyu's soul attack. Naturally, their speed of grabbing the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda slowed down. Whoosh! Right at this moment, the heavenly violet pagoda that had been rapidly descending suddenly slammed into space, shattering it. After that, it quickly sank into space and disappeared. It had been recalled by Morongyu. After recalling the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda, Morongyu teleported far away from his original location. Even though Morongyu's soul had reached 3 stars, it was still difficult for him to destroy the soul of an ancestor sage. Therefore, the experts of Daybreak God sect effortlessly neutralized Morongyu's soul attack. However, after neutralizing Morongyu's soul attack, they were stunned. The purple light heavenly sifting pagoda disappeared? The supreme artifact, the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda, had disappeared once again. This caused the experts of Daybreak God sect to be so angry that their lungs were about to explode. However, they could only be angry and couldn't do anything about it. However, they were certain that the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda was on Morongyu's body. In the future, they would just focus on chasing after Morongyu. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. While the experts of Daybreak God sect were raging, streaks of light broke through the void and shot over from afar. These people were attracted by the purple light heavenly sifting pagoda. The supreme artifact was taken by you guys? When these people came over, they didn't see the supreme artifact. As for the experts of Daybreak God sect, someone asked. These people were still considered polite. However, some people were different. They immediately attacked, reaching out with their huge hands to grab at the experts of the Daybreak Divine Sect. The experts of Daybreak God's Sect were already furious and had nowhere to vent their anger. However, these people automatically charged at them. As a result, a huge battle erupted. However, all of this had nothing to do with Morongyu. At this moment, Hichu Luoshu had already left the Black Dragon Mountain Range and appeared in Black Dragon City. "Old man, your injuries aren't light. Don't move, I'll help you heal." Morongyu told Yanglin to sit cross-legged on the ground while he sat behind Yanglin and placed one hand on Yanglin's shoulder. In the next moment, a torrent of life energy flowed through Morongyu's arm and into Yanglin's body. Yanglin didn't resist and guided Morongyu's life energy to quickly heal his injuries. With Morongyu's undead stage strength, his life energy was extremely terrifying. However, Yanglin was a sage ruler after all. It wasn't difficult for him to heal his injuries. Even with Morongyu's all-out treatment, it still took him half a day to fully recover. As for the energy that Yanglin had consumed, Morongyu couldn't do anything about it. He didn't have any elixirs or saint veins to replenish his energy. He could only rely on Yanglin to heal himself. However, Morongyu still underestimated Yanglin. After healing his physical injuries, Yanglin took out a few saint veins and directly swallowed them. In less than a day, his power, which had almost dried up, had recovered to its peak. "Old man, just what kind of opportunity did you encounter? Did you join a large sect or become the disciple of a peerless expert? Not only is he powerful, but he also has an endless supply of resources." Morongyu sized up Yanglin and thought to himself, "Old man, when did you ascend to the holy world? Did you join a large sect?" Morongyu finally couldn't help but ask after Yanglin recovered. Yanglin looked at Morongyu and smiled. "I didn't ascend back then. Instead, I mysteriously arrived in the holy world. After arriving in the saint's world, I entered a ruin. There were all kinds of inexhaustible resources there, but I couldn't leave that secret place. Not long ago, I reached the Holy Monarch realm and was able to enter." Yanglin only needed a few words to summarize the events of the past few years. However, Morongyu was left dumbstruck when he heard it. Old man's luck is really too good. Morongyu instinctively didn't believe it, but there was no need for Yanglin to lie to him. In the end, he only felt that Yanglin's luck was heaven-defying. "Do you feel that my luck is very good?" Yanglin couldn't help but laugh at himself when he saw Morongyu's expression. "I entered that ruin and quickly reached the Holy Monarch realm. In the eyes of others, my luck is indeed heaven-defying, but who knows how many times I died in that ruin. I was on the verge of death every day." At this point, Yanglin couldn't help but show fear on his face. It must be because the experience in that ruin was so terrifying that even a holy monarch like him felt lingering fear. Morongyu originally wanted to go back to that ruin with the old man. After all, he lacked resources the most. However, after seeing Yanglin's appearance, he gave up on that tempting idea. That ruin was left behind by an ancient expert. Only those who have inherited his legacy can enter. In other words, other than me, no one else can enter. As if he knew what Morongyu was thinking, Yanglin immediately cut off Morongyu's thoughts. Chapter 1400. Morongyu didn't have that thought in the first place, but now he completely dispelled it. After chatting with Yanglin for a while, Yanglin suddenly said, "Morongyu, let me leave. I'm leaving." Morongyu was surprised. "You're leaving just like that?" Yanglin was the first old friend he met in the holy world. Yanglin had helped him a lot in the past, so he wanted to catch up with Yanglin. He was surprised that Yanglin wanted to leave so soon. "I've ascended to the holy world for a long time, but I haven't walked around the holy world," Yanglin said slowly. Morongyu knew he couldn't keep Yanglin, so he sent Yanglin out of Hichu Luoshu after a while. "Even though we've only reached the 4th level of the tomb, we've reaped great rewards from this trip. Not only did I get the purple light Skysiv pagoda, but my soul also broke through to the 3-star realm. Most importantly, my cultivation finally broke through to the imperishable realm, so I can officially become an outer hall disciple of the true martial temple. Murong Yu's eyes shone as he thought about it. Although he had the qualifications to become an outer hall disciple, or even an inner hall disciple, it was because of his refining and pill-refining abilities. If he had joined the inner hall at that time, he would have been suppressed by the inner hall disciples even if his refining and pill-refining abilities were heaven-defying. With his strength, he wouldn't have been able to resist at all. But now it was different. After Murong Yu joined the outer hall, even if the outer hall disciples suppressed him, he wouldn't be afraid. Little Loli and the others should be fine. As for Jiqing, Murong Yu's eyes flashed with cold-killing intent. He didn't have a good impression of the tyrannical Phoenix clan. But he didn't have the ability to go against the Phoenix clan yet. At the very least, he had to become an inner hall disciple of the true martial temple, or even a candidate for the temple master position. Moreover, although Zhao Jiqing was restricted in the Phoenix clan, she was absolutely safe. He was not worried about Zhao Jiqing's safety. Let's go back to the true martial temple and join the outer hall. Zhao Jiqing's eyes shone brightly. With a thought, Hichu Luoshu appeared in a city near the true martial temple. Then, he stepped out. The reason why he did not directly return to his courtyard on Yangwu Peak was because he did not want to attract attention. Just think about it, if a person who was still in the Black Dragon Holy Empire suddenly appeared in the true martial temple, wouldn't that be telling others that he had a treasure that could directly teleport? After staying in this city for a few days, Murong Yu swaggered back to the true martial temple. Moreover, Murong Yu deliberately strolled around the servant-disciple area. Senior brother Murong Yu, you're back? Do you want to continue accepting missions for artifact and alchemy? As soon as Murong Yu appeared, he was immediately surrounded by countless odd-job disciples. All of them had flattering smiles on their faces as they looked at Murong Yu. Seeing this, a faint smile appeared on Murong Yu's face. Now, he had truly intimidated these odd jobs disciples. However, these odd jobs disciples were of no use to him. This was because after a certain period of time, most of these people would be expelled from the true martial temple. If they did not reach the imperishable stage, they would no longer be disciples of the true martial temple after 100,000 years. Therefore, Murong Yu would not recruit these people into his force. Even if he wanted to rope them in, he would do it after he reached the outer hall. Everyone, I will still accept tasks for refining weapons and pills. Murong Yu looked at the people around him and said with a smile. The people around him were overjoyed. However, Murong Yu's following words made their hearts sink to the bottom. However, from today onwards, I will only accept tasks in the outer hall. Therefore, if you want to refine weapons and pills, then become an outer hall disciple as soon as possible. What? Senior brother Murong Yu has already reached the imperishable stage? How many years has it been? Hearing Murong Yu's words, the odd jobs disciples around him were shocked. They all looked at Murong Yu in shock, their faces full of disbelief. Murong Yu merely smiled in response. Then, he swaggered off, heading straight for the outer palace. During this process, the news that Murong Yu had already reached the imperishable stage spread like wildfire among the odd jobs disciples and even the outer hall disciples. Many of the odd jobs disciples felt that it was a pity. However, they soon felt relieved. Even if Murong Yu had not reached the imperishable stage, he could still become an outer hall disciple at any time. This was something that would happen naturally. Stop. Odd jobs disciples are not allowed to enter the outer hall area. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. Murong Yu had just approached the outer hall area when an angry roar suddenly sounded. Then, two arrogant outer hall disciples appeared in front of Murong Yu. Just the imperishable stage. Although they were only imperishable stage disciples, they were the lowest existences among the outer hall disciples. However, in front of the odd job's disciples, they were still unreachable existences. Therefore, they were also very arrogant in front of the odd job's disciples. They were arrogant and bossy, completely looking down on the odd job's disciples. I'm here to join the outer hall. Murong-Yu looked at the two outer hall disciples calmly and said, Imperishable stage? The two disciples looked at each other. The imperishable stage disciple who had spoken before said again, Take out your identity token. Murong-Yu furrowed his brows as he took out his identity token. You're Murong-Yu? When they saw Murong-Yu's identity token, the two imperishable stage disciples' eyes immediately shot out two glaring balls of light. How dare you, Murong-Yu? How many years have you been an odd job's disciple? You actually pretended to be an imperishable stage cultivator to deceive us in an attempt to join the outer hall. When I take you down, I'll hand you over to the punishment hall for punishment. The other imperishable stage disciple roared. His big hand suddenly reached out and viciously smashed down on Murong-Yu's head. Of course, they didn't think that Murong-Yu's cultivation level was fake. After all, they could see Murong-Yu's cultivation level at a glance. The reason why they said so was because they knew the attitude of the big shots among the outer hall disciples towards Murong-Yu. If they could take down Murong-Yu, they would be able to receive special treatment from the big shot. At that time, it would be possible for them to become phoenixes. Seeing that the two gatekeeping disciples dared to attack him, Murong-Yu's eyes flashed with a cold light. He snorted coldly and didn't attack. He just took a step forward and directly collided with them. Boom! The imperishable stage disciple's big hand directly grabbed Murong-Yu's body and exploded with a loud bang. After the loud bang, the imperishable stage disciple's palm, and even his entire arm, exploded inch by inch. Murong-Yu's strength could even kill a low-level prime saint, let alone a low-level imperishable stage disciple. Moreover, this was only the beginning. After Murong-Yu's strength shattered the disciple's palm, he directly slammed into his opponent's body. Crack! After a crisp sound, the imperishable stage disciple's entire body was sent flying like a broken rag doll. A huge force slammed into his body instantly. His entire body cracked like porcelain. Numerous ghastly wounds appeared on his body. Blood spurted out like a fountain. The shape of the wounds was horrifying. Seeing this scene, the other imperishable stage disciple was stunned. It wasn't until the imperishable stage disciple landed heavily on the ground, causing the earth to tremble, that he finally reacted. He looked at Murong-Yu with murderous intent, his eyes bloodshot. Little bastard, you actually dared to injure an outer hall disciple. You deserve to die for offending your superiors. Today, I will kill you, you insolent disciple. As he spoke, he had already stepped forward. The battle sword in his hand cut through the void and slashed out a destructive sword light at Murong-Yu. Murong-Yu sneered and also stepped forward. He stretched out his hand and grabbed at the saber light that was coming at him with a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and earth. Seeing Murong-Yu grab his sword light with his bare hands, the imperishable stage disciple sneered in his mind. He didn't think Murong-Yu was very strong. The only reason he had defeated the imperishable stage disciple in one move was because he had launched a sneak attack. The battle sword in his hand was his high-grade saint weapon. Even a high-level imperishable stage cultivator wouldn't dare to take it head-on. But Murong-Yu wanted to grab it with his bare hands? However, the outer hall disciple only sneered for a moment before the sneer on his face turned into endless shock. Crack! Murong-Yu's hand grabbed onto the blade of light, causing the indestructible blade of light to immediately explode and turn into fine powder. The outer hall disciple was shocked. At this moment, Murong-Yu made his move again. He slapped out his palm and in the blink of an eye, the imperishable stage disciple's head was ruthlessly slapped. Suddenly, the imperishable stage disciple felt as if a sacred mountain was pressing down on his body. Kacha, kacha! After two crisp sounds, his legs were crushed inch by inch. Then, under the huge pressure, his whole body was slapped into the depths of the ground, only his head was above the ground. Reckless fool, how dare you stop the servant disciples from joining the outer hall? You have disappointed the servant disciples and hindered the sect from recruiting talent. You will be sentenced to death if you are sent to the punishment hall. Murong Yu pinned a big hat on the disciple and stepped on him at the same time. With a poof, the outer hall disciple's head was also stomped into the depths of the ground. Since it's your first offense, I will let you go for now and not report it. But don't let me find out that this kind of thing happens again, or I will report it to the punishment hall. Murong Yu continued to sneer while his figure drifted away. Before he finished speaking, he had already entered the depths of the outer hall. Chapter 1401. Even though Murong Yu had made a name for himself among the odd-job disciples, there was no one who didn't know of him. There were even many outer palace disciples who recognized him. However, there were too many outer palace disciples in the true martial temple. Even though Murong Yu's reputation had risen among the odd-job disciples, only a small portion of the outer palace disciples knew of him. Even if someone knew of Murong Yu's existence, they had never seen him before. Therefore, when Murong Yu entered the outer palace's Hall of Merit, he did not attract anyone's attention. However, when he walked straight to the second floor of the Hall of Merit, he attracted the attention of others. The true martial temple did not require disciples to wear the true martial temple's uniform. Therefore, in the true martial temple, many disciples wore the clothes they liked. At most, they would wear a badge that represented their status as odd job, outer palace, and inner palace disciples. However, there were many people who did not wear any badges. Therefore, when they saw Murong Yu swagger into the Hall of Merit, they all thought that Murong Yu was an outer palace disciple. After all, he was already in the imperishable stage. The Hall of Merit was the place where all kinds of missions were issued and accepted. The second floor of the Hall of Merit was the place where the assessment was carried out. For example, if an odd-job disciple reached the imperishable stage and was qualified to join the outer palace, then he had to go to the second floor of the Hall of Merit to take the assessment. As long as he passed the assessment, he could become an official disciple of the true martial temple. If he could not pass the assessment, he would return to his original status and continue to be an odd-job disciple. Ignoring the surprised expressions of the outer palace disciples on the first floor of the Hall of Merit, Murong Yu walked straight to the second floor. Unlike the bustling first floor, there was not a single person in the large space on the second floor. After all, although there were many odd-job disciples in the true martial outer palace, there were not many who had reached the imperishable stage. There were even fewer people taking the assessment on the same day. Similar to the first floor, there was a counter at the back of the second floor. At this moment, an outer palace disciple was dozing off there. It had been many years since anyone took the assessment here. If it weren't for the merit that could be claimed, there probably wouldn't be any disciples working here. Senior brother, I'm here for the assessment. Murong Yu walked over and politely said to the sleepy disciple. The sleepy outer palace disciple opened his sleepy eyes and glanced at Murong Yu. Then, he weakly said, "Give me your identity token." Murong Yu didn't fuss about it, and handed over the identity token. Murong Yu. When he saw the name Murong Yu, the sleepy disciple's eyes flashed with a cold light. The drowsiness on his face immediately disappeared and was replaced by a sinister smile. You're Murong Yu, the odd-job disciple genius in forging and alchemy? The outer palace disciple looked at Murong Yu with a sinister tone. A playful look flashed across his face. Yes. Murong Yu's heart sank. He had a bad feeling. Very good. The disciples of the true martial sacred hall are all very powerful. They're all peerless powerhouses who can fight against 10 people. Your assessment mission is to kill an ancient sage great strength King Kong Demon Ape. The outer palace disciple looked at Murong Yu coldly. The true disciples of the true martial sacred hall had all kinds of resources and cultivation methods that were more powerful than ordinary sect disciples. In the same realm, the disciples of the true martial sacred hall were usually stronger. However, this only referred to the true outer palace disciples. The odd job disciples didn't count. Morong Yu knew that the assessment of the odd job disciples was only to verify the strength of the undead stage and kill an undead stage fierce beast. For example, Morong Yu's mission to kill an ancient sage fierce beast was not just extremely difficult. It was clearly made difficult. It was obvious that this outer palace disciple was one of the big shots of the outer palace. After seeing Morong Yu come to take the assessment, he deliberately made things difficult for him. Strictly speaking, this was not just making things difficult for him, but also asking Morong Yu to die. Think about it, if an ordinary low-level undead stage saint encountered a mid-level undead stage fierce beast, he would already be no match for it and could only escape. If he encountered a high-level undead stage fierce beast, he wouldn't even have the chance to escape. It would be suicide. As for the higher-level profound sages, or even ancient sages, it could be seen how vicious this outer palace disciple was. Moreover, according to what Morong Yu knew, the strength of the great strength King Kong Demon Ape had already reached the high-level ancient sage realm. Its strength was comparable to that of a Saint King realm fierce beast. Ordinary high-level ancient sages were absolutely no match for the great strength King Kong Demon Ape. Even a Saint King would find it extremely difficult to kill it. If Morong Yu was just an ordinary low-level undead stage saint, he wouldn't even be able to get close to the great strength King Kong Demon Ape, let alone kill it. What a vicious mind! Morong Yu's face darkened, and killing intent burst out in his heart. What? You don't want to take the test? In that case, you'd better go back to where you came from. Seeing Morong Yu's gloomy face, the foreign disciple sneered again and again. Morong Yu suppressed the violent killing intent in his heart and said in a deep voice, "Isn't the test of a handyman disciple just to kill an ordinary undead stage fierce beast? What? Is there a problem with my test? Here I'm God. You can either accept the task, or immediately get the hell back to the preparatory hall and continue to be a handyman disciple." The outer palace disciple sneered. Whether Morong Yu accepted the task or gave up the test, his goal had been achieved. If Morong Yu accepted the task, he would undoubtedly die. If he didn't accept the task, he could only be a handyman disciple forever. Morong Yu's killing intent burst out in his heart. He looked coldly at the outer palace disciple and said in a deep voice, "I'll accept this task." Morong Yu knew that this was the doing of the big shots among the outer palace disciples. Otherwise, why would a mere outer palace disciple dare to make things difficult for him? If he didn't accept the task, there would be more difficulties in the future. Although Morong Yu could directly become an outer palace disciple, or even an inner palace disciple, without any test. But he didn't want to do so. If he did that, others would think that he was showing weakness. Didn't those people want him dead? He would ruthlessly give them a slap in the face. One day, Morong Yu would trample them under his feet in all aspects. Morong Yu would never show mercy to those who wanted him dead. He would never let others do it. The path of cultivation was extremely boring. Occasionally, trampling on some enemies under his feet could also add some fun to the boring path of cultivation. Within half a month, I hope to see the corpse of the Herculean King Kong Demon Ape. If I don't see it within half a month, the test will be considered a failure. Seeing that Morong Yu accepted the task, the outer palace disciple's face revealed a hint of surprise. But soon, he let out a sinister laugh. Within half a month, I can definitely complete the task. Morong Yu took a deep look at the outer palace disciple, his eyes flashing with dense killing intent. Feeling Morong Yu's terrifying killing intent, the outer palace disciple was shocked. But soon, he didn't care. Because he knew that Morong Yu would definitely die after leaving the true martial temple. Seeing Morong Yu stride out of the second floor of the Merit Hall, The outer palace disciple immediately took out a communication jade slip and sent out the news that Murong Yu had appeared in the merit hall and borrowed the task. What? Murong Yu is back? And he has reached the undead stage? Then those ancient sages that were sent out before were all killed by him? After receiving this news, the big shots of the outer palace were all shocked. Murong Yu was only in the undead stage before, but he dared to kill ancient sages? And now he had actually stepped into the undead stage. Impossible. Even if he has reached the undead stage, he doesn't have the ability to kill ancient sages. Those ancient sages must have been killed by his schemes. A hint of hesitation flashed across Yi Jun's handsome face, but in the end, he said with certainty, "This little bastard's alchemy and weapon refining abilities are far superior to ours. Before, he was limited by his own strength and could only refine middle-grade sacred weapons and low-grade sacred pills. But now that he has reached the undead stage, he should be able to refine high-grade sacred weapons and higher-grade sacred pills. Most importantly, this little bastard's strength has increased extremely quickly. How many years has it been since he became a servant disciple? He has already broken through to the undead stage. If he continues to grow, he will reach our level in a few years. With his heaven-defying aptitude for weapon refining and alchemy, how can we survive when that time comes? This little bastard must die." An outer palace weapon refining big shot said. The others nodded in agreement as they all felt an intense threat coming from Murong Yu. The great power King Kong demon ape is in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. Whether Murong Yu can go in is still a problem. He definitely can't kill the great power King Kong demon ape. Another big shot said calmly, but a cold light flashed in his eyes. "I'm just afraid that he won't dare to go in. Hee, this kid's heaven-defying alchemy and weapon refining abilities have probably reached the ears of the sect's higher-ups. Our true martial temple has never had a top weapon refining and alchemy genius. If those people are specially recruited, we will definitely die because of what we have done to him. Therefore, we must kill him this time. If he doesn't die, we will die in the future. Then what should we do? Let's do this." Several big shots discussed for a while, and finally left one by one with a gloomy smile. At this time, Murong Yu had also left the true martial temple and was heading towards the Fierce Beast mountain range. The Fierce Beast mountain range was different from other mountain ranges. It was thousands of times larger than the Black Dragon mountain range. Moreover, it was the paradise and home of the fierce beasts. From the periphery to the center, there were powerful fierce beasts everywhere. It was even said that there were powerful fierce beasts comparable to supremes in the center. Even the Chaos Ancestor Saint did not dare to go too deep into the Fierce Beast mountain range. Although the great power King Kong demon ape was not in the deepest part of the Fierce Beast mountain range, it was still in the depths of the mountain range and was surrounded by all kinds of powerful fierce beasts. Chapter 1402. The Fierce Beast mountain range was vast and boundless. It was one of the most terrifying mountain ranges in the Holy World and was listed as a forbidden area by countless saints. However, in the eyes of some people, it was also a holy land for cultivation, because there were all kinds of aged medicinal materials in the Fierce Beast mountain range. There were even some medicinal materials that could not be found anywhere else in the Fierce Beast mountain range. Moreover, in addition to these heaven and earth treasures, those fierce beasts were also full of vitality. The fear of the fierce beasts could allow people to directly devour their power to improve their own strength. The fur, bones, and even flesh of some fierce beasts were precious materials for refining weapons and pills. Therefore, when Murong Yu came to the edge of the Fierce Beast mountain range, he met many people. Some were strong and some were weak. The weak could only move around the edge of the Fierce Beast mountain range and hunt some weak fierce beasts. The strong gradually went deeper into the Fierce Beast mountain range. Murong Yu's target was the great power King Kong demon ape, which had reached the peak of the ancient sage realm. Its location was extremely close to the center of the Fierce Beast mountain range. After all, there were already Saint King-level fierce beasts in the deeper areas of the Great Power King Kong Demon Ape. And in the deeper areas were Ancestor Sages and Primal Chaos Ancestor Sages. Murong Yu went all the way: Sage Realm, Great Sage Realm, Undead Realm, and Imperishable Realm. Murong Yu did not slow down until he reached the area of Imperishable Realm fierce beasts. It was not that these Imperishable Realm fierce beasts were very powerful and could stop him from going deeper into the Fierce Beast mountain range. It was just that Murong Yu did not want to expose his powerful strength. If someone were to see him enter the Imperishable Realm, the Profound Sage Realm, or even the Ancient Sage Realm, wouldn't that be the same as telling others, "I'm very strong, my cultivation method is very powerful, and I have a very powerful treasure on me, and you should hurry up and snatch it from me?" In addition to this reason, Murong Yu also wanted to hunt some fierce beasts' crystal cores. Although he had reached the Imperishable Realm, the crystal cores of Imperishable Realm fierce beasts had no effect on him. But don't forget that there was a large group of people behind him that he needed to feed. Zhao Jiqing was the saintess of the Phoenix clan and had a lot of resources at her disposal. But what about Yu Mengqing, Mu Liue, Kurlan and Situxian? They were in a small city and did not have any resources to cultivate. Most importantly, they hadn't reached the Undead Realm yet. If they couldn't break through to the Undead Realm before their lifespan ran out, they would die. Murong Yu would never allow this to happen. However, although he had joined the true martial temple, he had not become an official disciple and could not enjoy the various resources of an official disciple. Although Murong Yu could refine weapons and pills in exchange for merit points, he could then use the merit points to exchange for various resources. However, he still couldn't make ends meet. He didn't even have enough for himself, let alone Yu Mengqing and the others. And now was a very good opportunity. Bang! Murong Yu smashed the head of a Tier 9 Divine Force magic-patterned snake into mush. Not only was this type of poisonous snake powerful, but its venom was also terrifying. Even if a profound sage was bitten, if they didn't expel the poison in time, they would eventually die. Moreover, these poisonous snakes were ferocious beasts that lived in groups. Unlike wolves that lived in groups, these poisonous snakes only gathered in the same area. However, the distance between each of them wasn't far. If a poisonous snake wasn't a match for them, they would only need to roar a few times, and the nearby poisonous snakes would rush over. Therefore, even profound sages didn't want to pass through this area. Therefore, apart from Murong Yu, there were no other sages in this area. As for Murong Yu, he had already transformed the Hichu Luoshu into a holy robe and wore it on his body. These poisonous snakes couldn't break through the Hichu Luoshu and couldn't hurt Murong Yu. Even if he was bitten, Murong Yu's life force could quickly detoxify the poison. This area was forbidden to others, but it was Murong Yu's paradise. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of something slithering could be heard. 3 human-sized divine force magic-patterned snakes turned into streams of light and quickly pounced on Murong Yu. Before they even got close, an incomparably fishy stench assaulted their nostrils. An ordinary undead stage sage would have been directly poisoned to death by this poisonous gas. In addition to this poisonous gas, the sharp teeth in the mouths of each divine force magic-patterned snake flickered with a beautiful light under the sun. This was their venom. "Come at me!" Murong Yu's eyes lit up, and he took a step forward. His right hand was like a sword, and he directly slashed out. With a chi sound, a sword light shot out from Murong Yu's fingertip. Immediately, the 3 incomparably huge divine force magic-patterned snakes were cut in 2. However, divine force magic-patterned snakes were undead stage fierce beasts after all. How could they be killed so easily? As long as they had enough power, they would be able to regrow their bodies. However, how could Murong Yu give them this chance? With a thought, 3 streams of soul strength shot out and directly obliterated the souls of the 3 divine force magic pattern snake. The souls of ordinary undead stage powerhouses were no longer of much use to Murong-Yu's soul. However, no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. It was better than nothing. After digging out their crystal cores and snake gallbladders, Murong-Yu continued to move forward. The crystal cores of divine force magic pattern snakes could be directly swallowed by sages to cultivate. Their snake gallbladders could detoxify, and were even more effective than some detoxification pills. Because these poisonous snakes were not very strong, it did not take Murong-Yu long to kill them. Therefore, after half a day, Murong-Yu had almost killed all the divine force magic pattern snakes in this area. He had obtained tens of thousands of undead stage divine force magic pattern snakes' crystal cores and snake gallbladders. Now, Murong-Yu was confronting a divine force magic pattern snake king that had reached the profound sage stage. This was the snake king that Murong-Yu had found after killing all the divine force magic pattern snake. Chi-Chi, the huge divine force magic pattern snake king, kept spitting out its bright red tongue, its eyes full of resentment as it stared at Murong-Yu. This made Murong-Yu feel as if there was a knife at his back. The strength of a profound sage was not much of a threat to Murong-Yu. What made Murong-Yu feel this way was the poisonous snake's incomparably resentful eyes. What was called a poisonous snake's eyes? This was it. Die for me. Murong-Yu coldly shouted, took a step forward, and used the 1,000-army elephant drawing fist to attack the divine force magic pattern snake's head. A lion would go all out to hunt a rabbit, and Murong-Yu did not hold back in this attack. Instead, he went all out. Moreover, his speed was extremely fast, and he appeared in front of the poisonous snake with a teleport. His fist exploded the void, and with lightning speed, it fiercely smashed into the Snake King's triangular head. Bang! After an earth-shattering sound, the huge Snake King was sent flying. Murong-Yu, on the other hand, stood motionless in his original place. Looking from afar, the head of the originally ferocious Snake King had been blown apart by Murong-Yu's punch. During the attack, Murong-Yu also sent a wisp of his soul force, crushing the Snake King's soul. 1 hit, 1 kill. Low-rank profound sage-level vicious beasts are still too weak. Even without a soul attack, I can still easily kill it. Murong-Yu shook his head, feeling a little bored, and immediately stepped forward to dig out the Snake King's crystal core and gallbladder. The gallbladder of a profound sage-level Snake King should have a stronger detoxification ability. However, just as Murong-Yu took a step forward, a gust of wind sounded, and several figures shot over from afar. Murong-Yu turned his head to take a look, then quietly dug out the Snake King's crystal core and gallbladder, and was about to leave. Stop! Just as Murong-Yu was about to leave, an arrogant, despotic, unruly, and cold voice sounded out. Trouble had come. Murong-Yu's face darkened, and he immediately turned around slowly to look at the person behind him. A cold-looking youth was surrounded by several profound sage-level powerhouses, and he was quickly walking towards Murong-Yu. Our Divine Heavens sect hunts in this area, and all the vicious beasts in this area belong to our Divine Heavens sect. Hand over the Snake King's gallbladder and crystal core, and you can leave. Otherwise, if you offend our Divine Heavens sect, you won't be able to bear the consequences. While speaking, the youth looked at Murong-Yu with contempt and disdain. This was because he didn't see the clothes of the disciples of the surrounding sects on Murong-Yu. Therefore, he guessed that this Murong-Yu should be a rogue cultivator. An imperishable realm rogue cultivator? Wouldn't he piss his pants after hearing the name of the Divine Heavens sect? However, Murong-Yu's reaction had infuriated him. Murong-Yu looked at the youth with a smile on his face. Am I right? This area belongs to your Divine Heavens sect? What is the Divine Heavens sect? Why haven't I heard of it? Murong-Yu had indeed never heard of the Divine Heavens sect. Moreover, he really felt that the youth's words were funny. because the true martial temple was nearby, and even a behemoth like the true martial temple didn't say that the ferocious Bear Mountain range belonged to them, let alone an unknown divine heavens sect. Murong-Yu guessed that the reason why the true martial temple was built in the ferocious Beast Mountain range was to make it convenient for their disciples to go there to gain experience. "How dare you be so arrogant? Kill him for me!" The youth flew into a rage, obviously irritated by Murong-Yu. Before his voice fell, a profound sage beside him stepped forward and looked at Murong-Yu with a ferocious expression. "Little bastard, you can only blame yourself for not recognizing Mount Tai and offending our young master. Now you can die." While speaking, this profound sage had already rushed in front of Murong-Yu and ruthlessly clawed at Murong-Yu's head, intending to directly kill Murong-Yu. A cold murderous intent flashed through Murong-Yu's eyes. These people wanted to kill without a word, which had successfully aroused his killing intent. "I'm very curious, why are you so confident as if you've already killed me?" While speaking, Murong-Yu fiercely attacked with the 1,000-army elephant drawing fist. "This little bastard is dead. Be careful not to crush the snake's gallbladder. This is our target." The youth sneered with a disdainful look, not putting Murong-Yu in his eyes at all. Chapter 1403. However, in the blink of an eye, the youth's face was filled with shock. This was because he saw that the profound sage of the Divine Heavens sect that he had brought with him couldn't even withstand a single blow. He was sent flying by Murong-Yu's punch like a kite with a broken string, violently spurting blood in the air. "What's going on?" Seeing this scene, the youth, the people around him, and even the profound sage who had been sent flying were all stunned. A mid-rank profound sage couldn't even resist a single blow from a low-rank undead realm expert? While they were shocked, Murong-Yu had already taken a step forward. His figure flickered as he rushed to the side of the profound sage who had been sent flying, and his big hand fiercely stretched out. With a poochie sound, the profound sage's head was twisted off by Murong-Yu. Then, the power of Murong-Yu's big hand erupted, and the profound sage's head was directly crushed. The profound sage's soul didn't even have time to escape before it was killed by Murong-Yu. The youth and the others were shocked once again by the strength that Murong-Yu had displayed. After killing the profound sage, Murong-Yu turned to look at the youth and the others, slowly approaching them. "Go, all of you, go and kill him for me." The youth's eyes were filled with fear as he commanded the remaining dozen or so profound sages to attack Murong-Yu. After receiving the order, the dozen or so profound sages of the Divine Heavens sect grinned as they rushed towards Murong-Yu. Although the strength that Murong-Yu had displayed had shocked them, they were still surrounded by a dozen or so Murong-Yu. However, with over a dozen of them attacking together, would Murong-Yu still be a match for them? Soon, Murong-Yu gave them the answer. "Come on," Murong-Yu shouted and rushed forward without fear. He used the moves of the dragon-elephant Prajna art to meet the dozen or so profound sages. He took a step forward and appeared in front of a profound sage. Then, the 1,000-army elephant pulling fist fiercely bombarded the head of the profound sage with lightning speed. Bang! The profound sage didn't even have time to react before his head was crushed. His soul didn't even have time to escape before it was completely destroyed. In the next moment, Murong-Yu's figure flickered as he took a step forward and soared into the air, appearing above the head of the second profound sage. 10,000 Jin strength, elephant step. The power in Murong-Yu's body surged wildly like a torrent, condensing in his lower body. After that, his entire body was like a sacred mountain, and he carried the force of a thunderbolt as he smashed down fiercely. Bang! The profound sage turned pale with fright. He raised his hands and erupted with a powerful force to block Murong-Yu's attack. However, even a high-level profound sage wouldn't be able to resist Murong-Yu's all-out attack, let alone a mid-level profound sage. As a result, his entire body exploded under Murong-Yu's pressure. Swords and spears can't penetrate my dragon scale body. With power circulating in his body, Murong Yu's body, which had reached the level of a low-grade sacred artifact, erupted with black ripples of power, smashing through the void and directly hitting the body of a profound sage. That profound sage couldn't resist either. His entire body and even his soul were smashed apart, and he couldn't be more dead. In just a few breaths of time, Murong Yu had killed 4 profound sages. These profound sages and youths were once again suppressed. However, Murong Yu's continuous slaughter had aroused the ferocity of these people. "Let's join forces and kill this little bastard." A profound sage flew into a rage, while the others had already gathered together and attacked Murong Yu at the same time. Murong Yu didn't put a bunch of profound sages in his eyes when dealing with them. However, if this group of profound sages were to form a rope, Murong Yu would have to be careful when dealing with them. However, he was only a little more careful and a little more dignified. However, Murong Yu didn't feel any fear in his heart. On the contrary, his battle intent soared to the heavens, and his battle intent soared. Mountain and sea fist. Fist topples the world, dragon Qilin breaks the sun, overturning dragon overturns the sea, dragon shadow crisscrosses the moon, dragon strikes the yellow dragon, dragon crosses 1,000 mountains. Murong Yu roared again and again as he rushed forward. He displayed the 7 moves of the Black Tortoise scripture, mountain and sea fist. Power gushed out, strangling the surrounding void like stormy waves. The nearby forest had already been crushed into powder by the terrifying power. An earth-shattering power burst out continuously. The powerful and terrifying power of both sides constantly collided in midair, and then fiercely exploded, creating a terrifying impact that swept in all directions. Boom, boom, boom. After a round of attacks, Murong Yu was shaken by a huge force and was forced to retreat. The shock caused the qi and blood in his body to surge like a raging sea. However, Murong Yu was not injured. On the contrary, his fighting spirit became even higher. "It's been a long time since I've fought so happily. Again." Murong Yu laughed and took a step forward, once again rushing toward the dozen or so profound sages. Murong Yu's strength had far exceeded his current realm. His enemies were either weaker than him or much stronger than him. Every time he fought, he would either easily defeat his opponent or not be their opponent and would be chased down. Every time he fought, he would not be able to fight without restraint. He would not be able to fight to his heart's content. But now, the combined strength of the profound sages of this world was very strong, and they could already kill Murong Yu. However, it was still within the limits of what Murong Yu could bear. It was precisely because of this situation that Murong Yu shouted for a fierce battle and to kill to his heart's content. Black Tortoise Divine Palm, Lai Chong Kick, Armored Bone Dragon Claw. Murong Yu's combat skills were not limited to the Dragon Elephant Prajna art or the Mountain and Sea Fist. Apart from not being suitable for soul attack, apart from the laws of space, the laws of time, and other heaven-defying abilities, Murong Yu had used almost all the combat skills he had learned. At the beginning, Murong Yu was suppressed by the dozen or so profound sages. However, the more Murong Yu fought, the stronger he became. On the contrary, the dozen or so profound sages became more and more frightened. If this continued, their strength would be exhausted, and they would not be able to exhaust Murong Yu. This was because they did not see the slightest sign of Murong Yu's strength being exhausted. In fact, Murong Yu's strength was not without consumption. It was just that for every bit he consumed, the tree of life would replenish it. With this level of consumption, Murong Yu did not have to worry about the consumption of his strength. Who is this person? A low-level undead realm expert fighting against a dozen or so profound sages. He is even suppressing a dozen or so profound sages. The youth was shocked and could only stare blankly at Murong Yu, who was becoming more and more powerful as he fought. Ha ha! Great! How satisfying! Murong Yu suddenly laughed out loud. He seemed to be very carefree. Now, you can go on your way. Humph. You want to kill us? Dream on, a profound sage sneered. Although Murong Yu was strong and could even suppress them, he was still able to defeat them. However, it wasn't that easy to kill them. Is that so? Murong Yu smiled. I still have a big move that I haven't used yet. I'll show it to you now. God's Descent. Murong Yu suddenly roared. As a result, a gigantic god's shadow appeared above Murong Yu's head. When they saw the projection of the god, the hearts of the dozen or so profound sages skipped a beat, and a bad feeling suddenly enveloped their hearts. However, before they could make an effective response, their minds became sluggish and they instantly became absent-minded. Losing focus in the middle of a great battle could lead to losing one's life. Die. Murong Yu took a step forward, rushed in front of a profound sage, and punched out. He directly blew this profound sage apart. Then, he slammed into the other profound sage and killed him. In just a moment, Murong Yu had already killed 5 profound sages. At this time, the absent-minded profound sages finally woke up. Run. Seeing how terrifying Murong Yu was, these people were finally frightened. They shouted and turned around to escape. None of you can escape, Murong Yu said coldly with a ruthless heart. Heaven-destroying star net. Murong Yu roared, and his soul force was already unleashed. Puff, puff, puff. These profound sages were already terrified, and they simply couldn't resist Murong Yu's soul attack. Before they could even take 2 steps, their souls were already destroyed by Murong Yu, and they couldn't be more dead. In the end, only the young sect master of the Divine Heavens sect was left. Whoosh! The youth's courage was completely shattered. His figure flashed, and he fled into the distance. However, how could a low-level imperishable realm cultivator like him escape from Murong Yu's hands? Murong Yu stretched out his hand, grabbed the youth by the neck, and lifted him over. Don't kill me. My father is the sect master of the Divine Heavens sect, and he has the strength of an ancestor sage. If you kill me, he will definitely take revenge. If you kill me, my father will definitely know. The youth's face was pale with fright, but he still didn't forget to threaten Murong Yu. A faint smile appeared on Murong Yu's face. What I hate the most is being threatened. Is the Divine Heavens sect very powerful? I am a disciple of the true martial temple. If I kill you, will your father dare to touch me? The youth was stunned for a moment, and then his face turned ashen. It was true that the Divine Heavens sect was powerful, but in front of the true martial temple, it wasn't even an ant. Even if his father knew that Murong Yu was the one who killed him, his father wouldn't dare to take revenge. Don't kill me. I will exchange some information with you. As long as you promise to let me go, I will tell you the location of a heaven and earth treasure. It's a heaven and earth treasure that even the ancestor sages of the primal chaos would be jealous of. The youth rolled his eyes and gave up on the threat. Murong Yu shook his head. Words have no proof. How do I know that you aren't tricking me? If I let you go, what if you bring your father to take revenge? What I said is absolutely true. This time, the Divine Heavens sect came out in full force because of that heaven and earth treasure. If you don't believe me, you can search my memories. The youth was anxious. Chapter 1404. Murong Yu realized that the young man didn't seem to be lying. Although the Divine Heavens sect was far inferior to the true martial temple, there were still ancestor saints in the sect. If they were really here for a treasure of heaven and earth, then the treasure must be extremely precious. Immediately, Murong Yu sneered, and a huge amount of soul power immediately rushed into the young man's body and began to read his memory. Tianyuan fruit? The young man had a lot of memories, but Murong Yu wasn't interested in his other memories. He directly found the memories related to the fierce beast mountain range. Soon, he confirmed that the young man was telling the truth. These days, the Divine Heavens sect did send all their forces to the fierce beast mountain range to hunt. They claimed that the disciples of the sect were here for training. The experts of the Divine Heavens sect went deep into the fierce beast mountain range to hunt for crystal cores and various treasures of heaven and earth. There was nothing suspicious about this excuse at all, because sects near the fierce beast mountain range and even further away often went to the fierce beast mountain range for training. However, the Divine Heavens sect's training this time was just an excuse. Their real purpose was a Tianyuan fruit in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. The name of the Tianyuan fruit was ordinary, but its effect was extremely amazing. It had the effect of allowing people to break through to the next realm, and it could help anyone below the chaotic ancestor saint. In other words, no matter if it was an immortal, a god, or a saint, as long as they took the Tianyuan fruit, they could directly break through to the next realm and enter a new realm. Although the Divine Heavens sect was powerful, it didn't have an expert of the chaotic ancestor saint. Although the Divine Heavens sect had an expert who had reached the peak of the ancestor saint for many years, he had no hope of breaking through. Not long ago, an expert of the Divine Heavens sect accidentally found this Tianyuan fruit in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. So, the Divine Heavens sect went all out to kill the Divine Heavens sect. This time, they could only succeed. They couldn't fail. The sects with an ancestor saint and a chaotic ancestor saint were different. If the sects with an ancestor saint were second-rate sects in the holy world, then the sects with a chaotic ancestor saint could become first-rate sections. First-rate and second-rate sects didn't just sound good on the surface. First-rate sects could expand their territory, intimidate other sects, and make them pay tribute. All kinds of benefits were incomparable to second-rate sections. The Divine Heavens sect had long wanted to become a first-class sect. Therefore, after learning about the Heaven Origin fruit, they came out in full force. The Heaven Yuan fruit is near the great power King Kong Demon Ape? Murong Yu's face revealed a surprised expression. The Heaven Origin fruit could help people break through to the next realm. Although it was not very attractive to Murong Yu, it was very helpful to Yu Mengqing and the others. After knowing the effects of the Tianyuan fruit, Murong Yu was already tempted. However, the vicious beast mountain range was extremely large, and there were many vicious beasts. Murong Yu's purpose in coming here was to kill the vigorous King Kong Demon Ape and complete the mission to become an outer hall disciple of the true martial temple. If the heavenly Yuan fruit was too far away from the great power King Kong Demon Ape, he could only give up. After all, he didn't want to be unable to pass the true martial temple's outer court disciple test. However, there was no need to worry about that now. Alright, you can leave now. After reading the young man's memory, Murong Yu waved his hand to let the young man leave. You really won't kill me? Let me go? The young man was shocked and looked at Murong Yu in disbelief. Murong Yu's face darkened. Get lost. Don't make me regret it. The young man was overjoyed and turned around to fly away. During this process, he lowered his head, but his eyes flickered with cold light. Little bastard, you killed so many of my people and even captured me. You're dead. The young man was determined. He had decided to invite the sex experts to kill Murong Yu. Roar. Not long after the young man flew away, an earth-shattering roar was heard, followed by the young man's miserable scream. Murong Yu sneered. His figure swayed, and he shot toward the depths of the vicious beast mountain range. The young man wanted to kill Murong Yu, so how could Murong Yu let him go? Moreover, Murong Yu knew that the young man would definitely invite the experts of the Divine Heavens sect to kill him. The reason why he didn't kill him directly, but let him leave alone, that was because Murong Yu knew that there was a powerful vicious beast not far ahead. The young man had a divine sense of the Divine Heavens sect master, which was the divine sense of an ancestor. Although Murong Yu wasn't afraid of this divine sense, he didn't want the other party to know that he had killed the young man. Therefore, he could only rely on the vicious beast. Of course, the vicious beast that was only in the profound sage realm was no match for the divine sense of the divine heavens sect master. At this time, Morongyu helped. Using the power of time, he sent the divine sense of the divine heavens sect master into the different spacetime. Although it was only for a moment, it was enough for the vicious beast to kill the young man. Then, the divine sense of the divine heavens sect master came out of the different spacetime and rushed toward the vicious beast. How could a profound sage realm vicious beast be his opponent? It was directly killed. However, after killing the vicious beast, the divine heavens sect master was still very angry. Because he knew that someone had tampered with it, but he didn't know who did it. Moreover, they had now gone deep into the fierce beast mountain range, and had no time to come back to check. The vigorous King Kong demon ape and the Tianyuan fruit are both in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. There is less than half a month left. I must kill the vigorous King Kong demon ape before the divine heavens sect finds the Tianyuan fruit. Only then will I have time to snatch the Tianyuan fruit, Morongyu thought, then stepped out and disappeared between heaven and earth. Invisibility. Space travel. Morongyu's current goal was the vigorous King Kong demon ape. Although the crystal cores of other vicious beasts were also attractive to him, after weighing the pros and cons, he temporarily gave up hunting vicious beasts of other levels. Morongyu's strength was getting stronger and stronger, and his invisibility ability was getting stronger and stronger. Moreover, during the process of flying, he remained cautious. Therefore, he flew all the way through the area of the fierce beasts of the profound sage realm, and then entered the area of the fierce beasts of the ancient sage realm. However, the vigorous King Kong demon ape was in the deepest part of the ancient sage realm, where there were already saint kings. Therefore, after reaching the deepest part of the ancient sage realm, Morongyu became more and more careful. Although he was very confident in his invisibility ability. However, this was the fierce beast mountain range, where all kinds of vicious beasts had incredible abilities. Even if he only revealed a trace of his aura or caused a slight fluctuation in the void, he would be discovered. After Morongyu went deep into the fierce beast mountain range, the group of people also entered the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. This little bastard actually went deep into the fierce beast mountain range. Does he really want to kill the vigorous King Kong demon ape, whose strength has reached the Saint King realm? A young man frowned slightly, and there was hesitation on his face. Maybe he has already died in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. What we sensed was only his identity token. Even if he is dead, the soul aura in his identity token will not disappear, another young man said with a sneer. They were the experts of the true martial temple, and their strength had all reached the ancient sage realm. They were sent by the big shots of the outer hall of the true martial temple to kill Morongyu. Although a few ancient sages had been killed by Morongyu in the Black Dragon Mountain range, they only thought that those ancient sages had died in the Saint Tomb. Therefore, they did not think that Morongyu had the ability to kill ancient sages. In fact, Morongyu had just broken through to the eternal realm. Even if he said that he had the ability to kill ancient sages, no one would believe him. If he is alive, we must see him. If he is dead, we must see his corpse. Even if Morongyu is dead, we must find his identity token, the third person said in a deep voice. Therefore, these ancient sages continued to go deeper. At the same time, the people of the Divine Heavens sect had also entered the fierce beast mountain range, the Saint King realm area. However, the Divine Heavens sect came out in full force. Under the suppression of the ancestral sages, these ancient sages could not block their way at all. However, the experts of the Divine Heavens sect did not dare to be too presumptuous. This was already the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. If they killed too many fierce beasts, they might provoke more powerful existences. Well, the great power King Kong demon ape is here. Murong Yu appeared on a peak and spread out his divine thought. There was no great power King Kong demon ape within a radius of hundreds of miles. Murong Yu also didn't discover any other ferocious beasts in this area. Presumably, this area was the territory of the great power King Kong demon ape, and other fierce beasts did not dare to cross half a step. Was it killed? Murong Yu's heart sank. He knew that the great power King Kong demon ape was a rare fierce beast. If it was killed in advance, he had to find other great power King Kong demon apes in other parts of the fierce beast mountain range. In that case, half a month was definitely not enough. Was it done by the giants of the outer hall? Murong Yu's face was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with terrifying murderous intent. These people had attacked him time and time again, and it had already exceeded his tolerance. Roar. At this moment, a thunderous roar came from afar. After a moment, a huge black shadow tore through the void from afar, and then jumped down fiercely. Boom! The sky shook and the earth shook. The sky seemed to be shaken by this huge black shadow. The mountain peak that Murong Yu was on shook violently, almost causing him to be shaken off the mountain peak. An incomparably vast aura swept over like a vast ocean. It was vast and mighty, and it was extremely terrifying. Great power King Kong demon ape. A cold light flashed in Murong Yu's eyes, and he looked at the great power King Kong demon ape in the distance. It was 10 feet tall and was surrounded by a fierce aura. Roar. The great power King Kong demon ape roared, took a big step, and rushed toward Murong Yu. Chapter 1405. Dong. 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 The great strength King Kong demon ape didn't take a single step, and the whole world seemed to shake, making a deafening sound. In fact, Murong Yu could even see the mountain peak he was on trembling unceasingly. It was as if the world was shaking, and it was extremely terrifying. And the terrifying aura of the great strength King Kong demon ape was like a wave that constantly rushed over, trying to shake Murong Yu to death. Roar. Suddenly, the great strength King Kong demon ape roared, and then its figure shook, turning into a stream of light and rushing towards Murong Yu. During this process, it stretched out a large, hairy hand the size of a small hill and fiercely slapped down at Murong Yu. Puff! A terrifying power burst out, and wherever the palm of the great strength King Kong demon ape passed, the void was constantly shattered, and large pieces of space crystals fell down. Murong Yu's expression changed slightly. If he was an ordinary low-rank undead stage expert, not to mention blocking the attack of the great strength King Kong demon ape, he would have been shaken to death and turned into dust. The great strength King Kong demon ape had at least the power of a second order or even a third order holy king. However, it was just pure power. The great strength King Kong demon ape was only at the peak of the profound sage realm, and it didn't have the magical powers of a holy king. Murong Yu didn't retreat or evade, and the fighting character art was operated to the extreme, and then 1,000 troops elephant-pulling fist fiercely blasted at the great strength King Kong demon ape. Boom! After an earth-shattering explosion, Murong Yu felt as if he'd been hit by an incomparably huge sacred mountain. The terrifying power burst out, and his fist, which had reached the level of a low-rank holy tool, was instantly shattered. And the huge palm of the great strength King Kong demon ape only paused for a moment, and then suddenly burst out, rushing straight in. Boom crack crack, Murong Yu's right arm broke inch by inch under the impact of the great strength King Kong demon ape, and then it was shaken into a cloud of blood mist. What a terrifying power! Murong Yu's expression changed suddenly, and with a thought, he had already teleported back. However, the great strength King Kong demon ape's speed wasn't slow, and it pressed forward. Boom! Although Murong Yu's figure was fast, he was still swept by the large power King Kong demon ape's palm. After an earth-shattering explosion, Murong Yu's body flickered with earthy yellow holy light and soared into the sky. Murong Yu, on the other hand, was sent flying. Boom crack crack, Murong Yu's chest cracked open, and then the cracks spread out in all directions. And this was because he had used the Hichu Luoshu to block most of the large power King Kong Demon Ape's power. Otherwise, his physical body would have been smashed into a bloody mist. The power of a Saint King was still too strong. Although Murong Yu was able to kill ancient sages, that was only because his strength was combined with his soul attack. If it was just strength alone, he would not have been able to kill an ancient sage. On the other hand, the strength of a Saint King was thousands of times stronger than an ancient sage. Murong Yu was not a match for the large power King Kong Demon Ape at all. Murong Yu's figure retreated explosively, taking a few steps in the void, shattering a large piece of the void. In an instant, he retreated 1,000 miles away. And when the large power King Kong Demon Ape saw Murong Yu smack Murong Yu to death with one palm, it roared angrily. Its huge figure smashed through the void, and once again charged towards Murong Yu. What a beast! It even knows how to take advantage of the situation to pursue. Murong Yu also roared out in his heart. With a thought, the life force in his body surged like raging waves, crazily washing over his physical body. In just an instant, his originally injured physical body had already recovered to its peak state. At the same time, Murong Yu took a step out, crushing the void. His figure was like a meteor as he collided with the large power King Kong Demon Ape. It looked like they were about to collide in the void. But after Murong Yu had experienced the terrifying strength of the large power King Kong Demon Ape, how could he still be so stupid as to collide with the other party? Taking a step forward, he appeared behind the large power King Kong Demon Ape in an instant. Then, he quickly punched out, Dragon Scale Breaking Sun. Clang! The sound of metal clashing against metal rang out. Murong Yu felt as if he had fiercely struck the ancestor sage. A powerful force surged over, shaking his fist so much that it almost shattered. As for the large power King Kong Demon Ape, it only had a few strands of hair blown away, and its body staggered. Other than that, it was completely fine. Murong Yu immediately felt depressed. Not only was this large power King Kong Demon Ape's strength terrifying, but its physical body was at least at the level of a mid-grade sacred artifact, or even higher. What Murong Yu did not know was that the large power King Kong Demon Ape was one of the ferocious beasts that the saint did not want to encounter the most. Its strength was powerful, and its lethality was extremely terrifying. Even an ordinary saint ruler would not be able to block a punch from him. And the large power King Kong Demon Ape's own defensive power was also extremely abnormal, almost invulnerable. Its flesh, bones, and even internal organs were all extremely hard. It was not something that an ordinary person could break through. Therefore, when ordinary saints encountered the large power King Kong Demon Ape, they would immediately flee, not wanting to be entangled with it. However, Murong Yu could not escape, unless he did not want to pass the Outer Hall Disciples' assessment. The harder the mission, the more I have to complete it. Didn't they want me to die? I'm going to ruthlessly slap their faces. Once I'm strong enough, they'll all die. Thousands of thoughts flashed through Murong Yu's mind, and his figure had already retreated explosively. Furthermore, the large power King Kong Demon Ape's speed was not as terrifying as his physical body and strength. In this aspect, Murong Yu had quite a few advantages. However, Murong Yu could only protect himself from being killed by the large power King Kong Demon Ape. It was impossible to kill the large power King Kong Demon Ape. The power of time is not strong enough to injure the large power King Kong Demon Ape, so I can only use soul attacks. After experimenting with the power of time, Murong Yu gave up on such a strenuous and unrewarding attack. He was prepared to use his soul attack. Just as Murong Yu was about to use his soul force to attack, he suddenly realized that there were a few experts with monstrous auras nearby. Did they pass by here unintentionally, or did they come here on purpose? If they came here on purpose, then is their target the large power King Kong Demon Ape or me? Murong Yu thought in his heart, but his face had already darkened. He had a feeling that those people were most likely here for him. It was likely that those people from the outer hall were afraid that he would not be killed by the large power King Kong demon ape, so they sent out a few more experts. This Murong Yu is actually able to block the large power King Kong demon ape's attack? His speed is so fast, even above ours. Murong Yu's guess was right. These people were the rankers from the true martial temple's outer hall disciples who came to kill him. At this time, they were not far away from Murong Yu, openly watching the battle between Murong Yu and the large power King Kong demon ape. His speed might not be very fast, but this little bastard's battle awareness is extremely strong. Every time he dodges, he perfectly dodges the large power King Kong demon ape's attack. Another ancient sage said indifferently, "If this goes on, the large power King Kong demon ape might not be able to kill Murong Yu, unless his strength is completely exhausted? Murong Yu seems to be unable to hold on any longer. He has probably used up too much of his strength and is already showing signs of defeat." A few ancient sages were talking about Murong Yu when they suddenly realized that Murong Yu was no longer as brave as before. Looking at Murong Yu's exhausted appearance, the ancient sages laughed. "This little bastard doesn't need us to do anything. He will be killed by the large power King Kong demon ape very soon. As I said, how can a mere undead stage servant disciple be worthy of us ancient sages to take action? He's coming towards us. Could it be that he wants to divert the trouble?" An ancient sage sneered. Even if Murong Yu wanted to lure the large power King Kong demon ape, he couldn't do anything to them. On the contrary, it would be more convenient for them to kill Murong Yu. Had Murong Yu really exhausted all his strength? Of course not. Murong Yu was only dodging the large power King Kong demon ape's attacks. His strength wasn't consumed much at all. Even if there was consumption, it had long been replenished by the chaotic energy absorbed by the Tree of Life from the endless void. The reason for this was because Murong Yu had already confirmed that the ancient sage's target was him. Because when these ancient sages looked at him, there was a strong murderous intent in their eyes. Since these people wanted to kill him, Murong Yu naturally wouldn't let them down. He was prepared to borrow the power of these ancient sages to kill the large power King Kong demon ape. Roar, roar, roar. The large power King Kong demon ape had been unable to kill Murong Yu for a long time, and it was completely enraged. It roared again and again. The black flames on its body were even more terrifying. It was like a raging fire constantly spurting out, burning the surrounding void with a chi-chi sound. Murong Yu intentionally or unintentionally walked in the direction of the ancient sages. This little bastard really wants to lure the large power King Kong demon ape over. Seeing Murong Yu's actions, the ancient sages sneered and didn't care at all. But this large power King Kong demon ape is really powerful. We may not be able to kill it. I think it's better to just kill this little bastard and go back to report. The depths of the fierce beast mountain range always gives me a sense of danger. We can't stay here for long. One of the ancient sages frowned and said, "In that case, let's kill this little bastard." One of the ancient sages laughed and immediately soared into the sky, turning into a stream of light and pouncing towards Murong Yu. "Little bastard, die." The ancient sages sneered and ruthlessly clawed at Murong Yu's head. "Kill the Herculean Vajra demonic ape for me first." Murong Yu gave a strange smile as his figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. The ancient sage's attack missed, and just happened to hit the large power King Kong demon ape that was chasing after him. The large power King Kong demon ape immediately roared, thinking that the ancient sages were Murong Yu's attack. Moreover, Murong Yu had already disappeared, so its hatred was all transferred to the ancient sages, and it directly attacked. Chapter 1406. Although the great strength King Kong demon ape was only at the peak of the ancient sage realm, its strength could reach the terrifying power of a second to third level holy king. Therefore, its strength far exceeded the ancient sage of the true martial temple. In fact, the great strength King Kong demon ape's realm was much higher than that ancient sage. Therefore, the ancient sage suffered a tragic fate. Bang! Although he retreated in time, he was still unable to escape the great strength King Kong demon ape's attack. After a loud, muffled sound, the ancient sage's entire body was immediately smashed into a cloud of blood mist. The ancient sage turned pale with fright. His soul let out a sharp sound as he retreated rapidly. On the other side, the other ancient sages of the true martial temple reacted extremely quickly and rushed over at the first moment. Terrifying power erupted from their hands and rushed towards the great strength King Kong demon ape like a torrent. Rumble! After a loud explosion, the great strength King Kong demon ape stood still, but the black flames on its body flashed violently. On the other hand, the ancient sages of the true martial temple groaned as they were sent flying by the shockwave. After the exchange of blows, the outcome was obvious. These ancient sages were no match for the great strength King Kong demon ape even if they joined forces. However, their attacks were not in vain. At least, the ancient sage's soul that had been smashed into a cloud of blood mist by the great strength King Kong demon ape had successfully escaped and recovered his physical body. Roar! The great strength King Kong demon ape roared loudly. The black flames on its body danced wildly, and its hair stood on end. It took a step forward, and its mountain-like hand smashed the void with a palm. It locked onto an ancient sage and then slammed down from the sky. The ancient sage's expression changed, and his figure flashed and retreated rapidly. However, the great strength King Kong demon ape's hatred was all on them. How could it let them go? With a flash, the great strength King Kong demon ape also chased after them. "Let's join forces and kill it," an ancient sage shouted. At this time, they definitely could not escape, because their goal was to kill Murongyu. But now, he was still safe and sound. Therefore, they could not leave, because if they could not kill Murongyu, then after returning to the true martial temple, their lives would be difficult. Although the great strength King Kong demon ape was powerful, it was not impossible for them to kill it if they worked together. Thus, several ancient sages and a great strength King Kong demon ape began to fight. At this moment, Murongyu had already appeared in the sky not far away from them. Standing in midair, Zhang Xian looked at the ancient sages impassively. Seeing Murongyu calmly watching the battle, the ancient sages of the true martial temple were about to explode from anger. If they were unable to kill the large power King Kong magic ape, then they would be killed one by the large power King Kong magic ape, and Murongyu would not need to do anything. If they killed the large power King Kong magic ape, then they would be helping Murongyu complete his mission. Their mission was to kill Murongyu. Now, not only did they fail to kill Murongyu, they even helped him complete his mission. What was this? Go and kill that little bastard. This ferocious beast is too powerful. We are no match for it at all. After a long time, I'm afraid we will be killed. A leader-like ancient sage suddenly said to another ancient sage beside him. The ancient sage did not speak. He just nodded, then took a step forward, turned into a stream of light, and rushed towards Murongyu. However, as soon as he left, the pressure on the other ancient sages increased sharply. They were no match for the large power King Kong magic ape to begin with. Now that they had one less person, they were in even more danger. Boom! Just as Murongyu saw the ancient sages rushing over and wanted to enter the Hichu Luoshu to avoid fighting, an earth-shattering sound came from the depths of the ferocious beast mountain range behind Murongyu. At this moment, it was as if the world was shaking. The towering mountains on the ground trembled violently, and ripples appeared in the void as if it was about to shatter. A terrifying shock wave swept over and immediately shook Murongyu, causing his blood to churn. Has the Divine Heavens sect already started? Murongyu turned his head to look back, his eyes flashing. Although he was still quite a distance away, Murong Yu could still feel an incomparably powerful aura soaring into the sky. There were the auras of human experts, as well as the auras of ferocious beasts. Murong Yu immediately knew that it was most likely the experts of the Divine Heavens sect who had started the fight. The ancient sages of the true martial temple who did not know were a little confused and frightened. Because those auras were too terrifying. They were at least the aura of an ancestor saint expert. They were merely ancient sages, and any random ancestral sage's aura could easily crush them to death. Murong Yu's heart moved. He glanced at the ancient sages of the true martial temple and immediately changed his mind. Originally, he wanted to watch a good show of the battle between the ancient sages and the large power King Kong magic ape. But now that the Divine Heavens sect had already started the fight, Murong Yu also wanted to join in the fun. Before that, Murong Yu had to kill the ancient sages and the large power King Kong magic ape. So, his figure shook, and he disappeared on the spot with a teleport. He rushed to the large power King Kong magic ape. God's descent. Murong Yu roared. Suddenly, a huge god's shadow appeared in the void above his head. Almost at the moment when the god's shadow appeared, the ancient sages of the true martial temple lost their minds for a moment. And because Murong Yu's target was the ancient sages, the large power King Kong magic ape was not affected at all. Thus, its ferocious attack slammed into one of the prime saints. That ancient sage did not know how to dodge because he was in a daze. So, his body was directly shattered by the large power King Kong magic ape's slap. However, at the same time, his soul had already woken up and was about to retreat. But how could Murong Yu let him escape? A soul-devouring slash immediately slashed over. With a pft, the ancient sage's soul was immediately killed. At the same time, Murong Yu's soul attack and the power of time blasted out once again. Star net exterminating the sky. Reversing time and space. This time, the reversal of time and space only affected their lower bodies. Otherwise, if they were to reverse time and space, it would help them avoid the large power King Kong magic ape's attack. This was not Murong Yu's original intention. He was here to kill them, not to help them. A high-level ancient sage existence. Even though Murong Yu's soul attack caught them off guard, it was still unable to kill their souls instantly. However, he had successfully frightened them. Coupled with the attack of the power of time, these people were immediately unable to move. Bang! 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 On the other hand, the large power King Kong magic ape seized the opportunity and blasted out with an incomparably violent power. It was simply slapping them into a bloody mist. Murong Yu, on the other hand, slashed out soul-devouring slash repeatedly after the large power King Kong magic ape, harvesting the souls of those few ancient sages. To a certain extent, it could be said that Murong Yu and the large power King Kong magic ape were working together to fight against the enemy. And the large power King Kong magic ape also knew Murong Yu's intention and did not attack Murong Yu. Because it knew how powerful Murong Yu was. Once Murong Yu and those people joined forces to deal with it, it would also be in danger. God's descent. Murong Yu's current mind was extremely powerful, and there was no problem using God's descent multiple times in a row. Therefore, after those ancient sages came out from the alternate time and space, he repeatedly used God's descent and joined forces with the large power King Kong magic ape to kill those ancient sages one after another. In the end, there was only one ancient sage left. Seeing how ferocious Murong Yu two people were, this ancient sage's face had long turned green from fright. How could he still dare to fight? He turned around and wanted to escape. But, how could Murong Yu allow them to escape? These lackeys, he would kill one when he saw one, no matter how many came. He wanted to see how many of those outer palace's disciples would be killed by him. Space rule, time rule, soul attack. Murong Yu used all sorts of methods to stop that ancient sage from escaping. And the large power King Kong magic ape cooperated with Murong Yu quite tacitly, and in the end, They easily killed those ancient sages. If it was Morong Yu alone, it would definitely be difficult to kill these ancient sages. Perhaps he could kill 1 or 2 people, but he definitely couldn't kill all of them. And if he didn't kill all of them and let them return to the true martial temple, then the secret that Morong Yu knew time rule, space rule, and was a soul saint would be leaked out. At that time, it wasn't just the disciples of the outer palace who wanted to kill him. Even the elders of the outer palace, the disciples and elders of the inner palace all wanted to seize his cultivation technique. Roar. After killing the last ancient sage, Morong Yu and the large power King Kong magic ape turned around at the same time, and then pounced towards each other at the same time. God's descent. Soul-devouring slash. Power of time. Power of space. Morong Yu no longer fought with the large power King Kong magic ape head-on, but instead used all sorts of divine abilities to kill the large power King Kong magic ape. Especially after the great battle just now, Morong Yu discovered that the combination of God's descent and soul attack was even more powerful. This was because when God's descent was used, the other party didn't attack or defend because they were absent-minded. And at this time, when the soul attack blasted over, the other party didn't have time to organize their strength to block it. Thus, Morong Yu was able to kill the other party's soul more easily than ever. After a round of attacks, although Morong Yu didn't kill the large power King Kong magic ape, he discovered that the large power King Kong magic ape's soul was much weaker than a human saint of the same realm. Moreover, although the large power King Kong magic ape could use its strength to rush into the soul space to block, it wasn't as skilled as humans. I wonder if the other beasts are the same? Morong Yu thought in his heart, and his attacks became even fiercer. In the end, he even suppressed the large power King Kong magic ape. Roar. Seeing that Morong Yu's attacks were getting more and more terrifying, the large power King Kong magic ape let out a loud roar, and with a sway of its body, it turned around and fled. Chapter 1407. Power of Time. Seeing this, Morong Yu directly shot out a burst of power of time, directly covering the body of the great power King Kong magic ape. Then, he used the deity's descending move to suppress it. Immediately, the great power King Kong magic ape was unable to break free from the shackles of the alternate time and space, and stopped in the alternate time and space. Soul Tyrant Fist. Soul Devouring Slash. Star Net annihilating the heavens. Almost at the same time, Morong Yu unleashed 3 soul attacks at the same time. They blasted into the soul space of the great power King Kong magic ape. Swish, a small part of the great power King Kong magic ape's soul was immediately destroyed. However, at this moment, the great power King Kong magic ape had already shattered the power of time and rushed out of the alternate time and space. An incomparably huge amount of power surged into the soul space and immediately dissolved Morong Yu's soul attack. Then, the great power King Kong magic ape once again turned into a stream of light and quickly fled into the distance. Morong Yu also chased after it. Finally, after a round of great battle, under the combination of the power of time, the power of space and the soul attack, this huge beast that had reached the peak of the ancient sage realm collapsed with a loud bang. After keeping the great power King Kong magic ape into the Hichu Luoshu, Morong Yu couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. This battle was extremely difficult. If it weren't for the cooperation of the ancient sage realm powerhouses of the true martial temple, Morong Yu definitely wouldn't have been able to kill them. And once they made a move, Morong Yu's identity of having the power of time, the power of space and the soul saint would definitely be leaked. At that time, there would be endless trouble. As for the great power King Kong magic ape, if it weren't for Morong Yu having the power of time, the power of space and the soul saint, he definitely wouldn't have been able to kill it. In fact, this was still because the great power King Kong magic ape was a magical beast. Its strongest points were its strength and hard body. Its soul was even weaker than an ordinary ancient sage. Other than that, the great power King Kong magic ape was somewhat stupid. Every time it was attacked by Murong Yu's soul, it didn't learn from its mistakes. Therefore, rather than saying that Murong Yu had killed the great power King Kong demon ape, it was better to say that Murong Yu had slowly ground it to death. Deities descending to the mortal world, this move is really powerful. Even if it's a saint, it would still be able to kill him. Murong Yu sighed. He seemed to have learned this move back in the immortal world. It was just that he didn't have many opportunities to use it. After today's battle, the combination of God's descent and Murong Yu's other abilities allowed him to quickly kill the large power King Kong demon ape. For him to be able to kill the large power King Kong demon ape, the move, deities descending to the mortal world, could be said to have contributed greatly. In the future, I have to think more about this move and cultivate it to become even more powerful. The amount of mental energy I need right now is still too much. Murong Yu felt a little dizzy. This was because he'd used up too much mental energy. The life force in Murong Yu's body began to rush madly. After a while, Murong Yu had recovered to his peak state in all aspects. Then he looked in front of him, in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range, where terrifying auras were constantly emitted. Tianyuan fruit, here I come. While speaking, Murong Yu had already hidden in the void. Then he tore the void and directly traversed through space, flying towards the front where many experts of the Divine Heavens sect were fighting. Along the way, Murong Yu seemed to have entered a no-man's land. In fact, this was because the battle in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range had already scared away all the fierce beasts along the way. Therefore, Murong Yu didn't encounter any fierce beasts. As for other saints, Murong Yu didn't encounter any. Because the fierce beast mountain range was huge, although the auras that erupted from the many experts of the Divine Heavens sect were terrifying, they could only affect the tip of the iceberg of the fierce beast mountain range. If the Tianyuan fruit hadn't happened to be near the large power King Kong demon ape, Murong Yu wouldn't have been able to discover the battle here. Boom, boom, boom. The closer Murong Yu got, the stronger the sounds and fluctuations of the battle became. He knew that he had entered the Saint King area of the fierce beast mountain range. After arriving near the Tianyuan fruit, he realized what was called shocking. There were countless experts fighting in front of him. Terrifying forces tore the sky and cracked the earth, collapsed the mountains and filled the sea. It was extremely terrifying. The shaking shook the sky and the earth, the mountains were shattered, and the lakes and seas were filled. Murong Yu couldn't get too close to the terrifying energy fluctuations that were constantly emanating from the area. Even Murong Yu couldn't see the people in the battle in front of him. His vision was blocked. Divine thought? Before his divine thought could get close, it had already been crushed into powder by the terrifying power. This was a giant snake the size of a Saint Mountain. Murong Yu finally got a good look at the incomparably large and ferocious vicious beast. Looking from afar, the snake-shaped fierce beast flying in the air was like a moving mountain. It pounced and moved, and wherever it passed, large pieces of the void were shattered. Huge scales the size of a small mountain, emitting a black light, covered the snake's body like pieces of Saint iron, protecting it firmly. When the sword and saber slashed at it, only sparks could be seen shooting out, but only a white mark appeared on the scales. It couldn't be cut at all. And on the huge triangular snake head like a Saint Mountain, 2 lake-sized eyeballs constantly emitted a dark green light, which was extremely terrifying. In the bloody mouth, there were sharp teeth comparable to a saint weapon. Green light flickered on it, which was the reflection of the snake's venom under the sun. A nauseating stench constantly spewed out from the giant snake's mouth. Even the void couldn't withstand it and was quickly corroded. Iron bone steel-scaled poisonous python. Murong Yu couldn't help but exclaim. Iron bone, steel scales. It meant that the python's bones, flesh, and scales were hard. It was said that the iron bone steel-scaled poisonous python, at the same level, was even many times stronger than the great power King Kong demon ape. At the same level, other fierce beasts and saints of various clans couldn't even break the defense of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python, let alone kill it. In addition, the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python's venom was extremely terrifying. Saints at the same level would die immediately if they were sprayed with poisonous fog. Moreover, the poisonous fog of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python could not only corrode flesh, saint weapons, and so on, but also the soul. What Murong Yu saw now was an iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python at the Saint King realm. It was even at the high-level Saint King realm. No wonder the experts of the Divine Heavens sect came out in full force. Even an ancestor saint would find it difficult to kill an iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python at this level. At this time, there were 6 people fighting the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python. They must be the ancestor saint experts of the Divine Heavens sect. However, Murong Yu didn't see the peak ancestor saint expert of the Divine Heavens sect. In addition to these ancestor saint experts, Murong Yu also saw a group of people who had retreated far away. Saint kings, ancient sages, profound sages, and so on. These should be the experts of the Divine Heavens sect. However, in front of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python, even those experts who had reached the peak of the Saint King realm were as weak as tofu, as weak as ant. Because of this, those people slowly retreated. Has the great elder, who has reached the peak of the ancestor saint realm, gone to get the Tianyuan fruit? Murong Yu frowned slightly, his face a little gloomy. The 6 ancestor saints of the Divine Heavens sect were fighting the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python, but they were still no match for the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python and were firmly suppressed. Even if they were all ancestor saints, if they were hit by the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python, their bodies would explode. And if they were sprayed with poisonous fog, their souls would also be corroded. Therefore, they were all very careful and couldn't move freely. Because of this, they were suppressed by the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python. I wonder where the Tianyuan fruit is? Murong Yu frowned slightly and began to approach slowly. The closer he got, the more surprised Murong Yu was, because he suddenly realized that the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python, which was the size of a saint mountain, hovering in the sky, was only the front half of its body. The lower half of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python traversed the void and extended to the ground, disappearing into a huge cave. That should be the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python, and the Tianyuan fruit should be in there. Murong Yu's eyes flashed, and with a thought, he had already slowly walked forward. However, Murong Yu had already entered the He-Tu and the Book of the Luo. He was a distance away from the battle as he slowly but swiftly flew over. Slowly, Murong Yu was already 10 million miles away from the huge cave. The closer he got, the more shocked Murong Yu was. In front of this iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python, not to mention a human, even those towering mountains were as small as ants. After reaching this distance, Murong Yu stopped. Although the lower half of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python did not attack, it still erupted with a terrifying aura, shattering the void. Murong Yu couldn't get close at all. Not to mention entering the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python to obtain the Tianyuan fruit. However, Murong Yu was determined to get the Tianyuan fruit. No matter what, he had to get it. Space shield. Space barrier. Time reversal. Murong Yu was in the He-Chu Luoshu, and all kinds of defensive powers he knew were applied to the He-Chu Luoshu. At the same time, the hundreds of millions of roots of the Tree of Life trembled rapidly, crazily absorbing the free chaotic force from the void. Whoosh! After making all the preparations, He-Chu Luoshu turned into a stream of light and rushed to the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python. Boom! 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 However, not long after rushing forward, the various means that Murong Yu applied to the He-Chu Luoshu were shattered. Murong Yu was completely focused as he continuously sent out streams of space force, time force, and other force to envelop the He-2 and the inscription of the Luo. Resisting the enormous pressure, he madly charged forward. Murong Yu was competing in consumption, as long as his strength could support him, until he entered the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled poisonous python. He had hope of obtaining the Tianyuan fruit. Chapter 1408. Bang, bang, bang. As Murong Yu approached the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, Murong Yu's space shield, space barrier, and reversal of time and space kept exploding. In the end, Murong Yu could only keep using all kinds of space and time power to maintain it. At the same time, he controlled Hichu Luoshu to rush to the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python's lair at a faster speed. However, the faster he was, the closer he was to the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, the greater the pressure he had to bear. In the end, Murong Yu's attack wasn't even fast enough for it to shatter. The pressure was increasing. Murong Yu's heart sank. If this continued, he might not be able to rush in, unless he used various powerful treasures such as the Yin-Yang Cauldron. However, in that case the experts from the Divine Heavens sect would find out. At that time, if they attacked together with the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, even if there were 10 more Murong Yu, he would not be able to resist. Fight! Thousands of thoughts flashed through Murong Yu's mind. He gritted his teeth and decided to use the Yin-Yang Cauldron and take the risk to rush in. Boom! However, just as Murong Yu was about to take the risk to rush in, an earth-shattering sound came from the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python's lair. A frightening shockwave came crashing down, shattering all of the defensive measures Murong Yu had placed on the He-2 and Luo Shu. At the same time, Murong Yu spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. And Hichu Luo Shu was also sent flying. Far away from the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, Murong Yu's hard work was in vain. The power of life rushed in crazily, and Murong Yu's injuries were immediately healed. Murong Yu couldn't be bothered to check his own injuries as he hurriedly looked ahead. The originally calm lower body of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python seemed to have been stabbed by a knife at this moment as it violently writhed. An incomparably terrifying aura erupted, tearing the heavens and splitting the earth. Aside from the iron-boned, steel-scaled python's energy fluctuations, Murong Yu also sensed another extremely powerful aura. His aura was almost the same as that of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, and much stronger than the many ancestral saints of the Divine Heavens sect who were fighting against the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python. Could it be the ancestor saint of the Divine Heavens sect? Murong Yu's heart sank. It was obvious that someone was fighting with the tail of the python in its nest. While Murong Yu was looking in that direction, the lower half of the python's body swayed even more vigorously, and its aura became more and more terrifying. Could it be that the Tianyuan fruit has been taken by them? Murong Yu's heart sank even more. Before his voice died away, a streamer had already shot up to the sky from the python's nest and rapidly shot into the distance. Murong Yu looked over and saw that it was a gray-robed elder. But at this moment, his clothes were torn and he looked embarrassed. His body was covered in blood, and even blood was spurting out. Boom! At the same time that the gray-robed elder shot up to the sky, the lower body of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python also rushed out of the nest and quickly strangled the gray-robed elder. Seeing this scene, Murong Yu's heart sank completely. Could it be that the super-expert of the Divine Heavens sect had already stolen the Tianyuan fruit? Otherwise, he wouldn't have left here. Of course, there was another possibility, that the gray-robed elder didn't steal the Tianyuan fruit. He was discovered when he sneaked in, and then the two sides fought. In the end, the gray-robed elder couldn't defeat the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python and quickly escaped. Before seeing it with his own eyes, Murong Yu wouldn't leave. Unless he was sure that the Tianyuan fruit had been stolen, he wouldn't leave. Therefore, he once again flew towards the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python. Because the tail of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python had already chased after the gray-robed elder and left the nest far away. Therefore, Morong-yu didn't feel any pressure and easily entered the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python. The lower half of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python has been taken away by me. Hurry up and get the Tianyuan fruit from its nest. Just as Morong-yu entered the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, the experts of the Divine Heavens sect who were watching from afar received a message from the gray-robed elder. Those saint kings were overjoyed. In a flash, they all turned into streamers and bypassed the battlefield, flying towards the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python. What a strong fragrance! After Morong-yu entered the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, he came out of the Hichu Luoshu. Originally, he thought that the nest would definitely be extremely smelly and he was prepared to not breathe here. However, after he appeared, he smelled a strange fragrance that assailed his nostrils. It was strong but not greasy. When he smelled it, he even had the illusion that his pores were all opened. His mind was relaxed and his strength had increased. Could it be that the Tianyuan fruit hasn't been stolen? Morong-yu was shocked. He immediately sped up and rushed towards the depths of the nest. At this moment, those saint kings of the Divine Heavens sect had already rushed to the entrance of the nest. They turned into streamers and rushed in. The nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python was extremely deep, but it was also very big. Therefore, Morong-yu rushed in without any obstruction. As Morong-yu went deeper, the strange fragrance became stronger and stronger. After a few breaths, the front of Morong-yu suddenly opened up. The original lair was bare in all directions, as smooth as a mirror. Not to mention trees, there wasn't even a weed or moss. However, now Morong-yu seemed to have entered a primeval forest. The towering trees were lush and green. There were all kinds of grass and trees that were full of greenery. Morong-yu's gaze swept through the greenery and finally stopped on a fruit that was the size of a fist and shone with a black halo. The strange fragrance that Morong-yu smelled came from this fruit. Tianyuan fruit. Morong-yu's eyes shone brightly as he exclaimed. Although he didn't know about the Tianyuan fruit before, the young master of the Divine Heavens sect had this item in his memory. Therefore, he recognized it at a glance. Morong-yu walked up quickly and approached the Tianyuan fruit. Next to the Tianyuan fruit, Morong-yu even felt like he was floating in the air. The Tianyuan fruit is completely black and shines with a faint halo. It means that it is completely ripe and can be picked. Morong-yu recited the aura that he got from the young master of the Divine Heavens sect. This kind of heavenly fruit is rare. I wonder if it will still grow if it is transplanted to Hichu Luoshu? Morong-yu pondered. Although there were many heavenly fruits that had been transplanted to Hichu Luoshu, they were useless. If the level was too low, even if it grew fruit, it could only be eaten as a fruit. However, the Tianyuan fruit was different. As long as one was a sage, it would be effective. Unless one had surpassed the honorable realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as Morong-yu was hesitating about whether to transplant the Tianyuan fruit tree to Hichu Luoshu, a gust of wind came from behind. When Morong-yu turned his head to take a look, his expression immediately changed. The sage kings of the Divine Heavens sect had charged in. Morong-yu had no time to hesitate. He reached out his hand and was about to grab the Tianyuan fruit. "You're courting death." The sage kings were shocked when they saw this. They were furious and had already attacked with their strongest attack. In an instant, an incomparably violent attack blasted towards Morong-yu. However, Morong-yu's reaction was not slow. In less than 1/10 of an instant, he had already grabbed the Tianyuan fruit. However, just as he was about to pluck the Tianyuan fruit, a force burst out from the Tianyuan fruit and sucked Morong-yu's arm. Morong-yu was shocked. If he was sucked in, he would definitely die. Therefore, He did not hesitate. A chaotic force gushed out and rushed toward the Tianyuan fruit. Although the Tianyuan fruit was extremely precious, and even the ancestor sages would go crazy for it. However, it was not as precious as his life. Therefore, Morong Yu decisively gave up the Tianyuan fruit. However, just as Morong Yu's chaotic force came into contact with the Tianyuan fruit, the suction force from the Tianyuan fruit disappeared. Without the suction force and danger, Morong Yu was naturally unwilling to give up the Tianyuan fruit. Thus, with a single thought, Morong Yu plucked the heavenly origin fruit from the tree. At the same time, the attacks of the Sage Kings had already blasted above Morong Yu's head. They carried a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth as they slammed down. If Morong Yu was hit by these forces, his physical body would shatter and his soul would be annihilated. Space power, time power, soul attack. Morong Yu held the Tianyuan fruit tightly in his right hand. With a thought, he was about to enter the Hichu Luoshu. At the same time, he used various techniques, either to protect himself or to attack the saint rulers. The Sage Kings were furious. The Tianyuan fruit already belonged to the Divine Heavens sect. Now, Morong Yu was trying to snatch it from them? How could they not be angry? Therefore, their attacks were the most powerful. Morong Yu's heart sank to the bottom. He knew that all his techniques would not be able to block the attacks of the Sage Kings. At the same time, he could not enter the Hichu Luoshu before their attacks hit him. Moreover, these people had destroyed the void and made the space unstable. If he entered the Hichu Luoshu, he might charge into the turbulent space. With a thought, a cold smile flashed across Morong Yu's face. The hand that was holding the Tianyuan fruit suddenly moved forward and faced the attacks of the Sage Kings. The Saint Kings were shocked and immediately retracted their attack. Just as they retracted their attacks, an aura that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth, causing even their souls to tremble, came from outside the nest at lightning speed and with the force of a thunderbolt. The iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python was back. Everyone's expression changed. Chapter 1409. Rumble. A terrifying aura surged into the sky. Before the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python even got close, the terrifying aura had already shaken its lair. The walls on both sides were shattered, and the momentum was terrifying. In the blink of an eye, everyone, including Morong Yu, felt as if they were facing the end of the world. The strong aura of death suppressed their hearts. Everyone was shocked. They all knew that even the ancestor saints of the Divine Heavens sect were suppressed by the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python, let alone them. They couldn't even block one move before they were killed by the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python. Run! Everyone retreated instantly. However, they all knew that there was only one exit to the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python's lair. Now that the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python had returned, it had blocked their way out. If there was no miracle, they would definitely die in the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python's lair. However, they didn't want to die, so they quickly retreated. As for Morong Yu, the Saint Kings of the Divine Heavens sect didn't bother with him. After all, they were about to die. What was the use of the Tianyuan fruit? Morong Yu's reaction was the fastest. Because he was already retreating. After forcing everyone to retreat, he had already smashed through the void and directly traveled through space, shooting toward the depths of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python. However, he still didn't dare to enter the Hichu Luoshu. Because the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python was too strong. Wherever its power passed, the void would shatter. Morong Yu didn't dare to rush into the turbulent space. The power of space. The power of time. Morong Yu used all his escape methods and retreated quickly. And in the process, bang! A Saint King couldn't dodge in time and was directly whipped to death by the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python's tail. Even his soul was shattered into dust. He couldn't be more dead. Although the Saint King was fast, the iron-boned, steel-scaled, venomous python was faster. Even the ancestor saints couldn't suppress it, let alone the saint kings. Seeing this, Murong Yu and the rest felt the death aura in their hearts became stronger. Murong Yu had already taken out the Hichu Luoshu and the Yinyang cauldron to protect himself, and quickly. However, Murong Yu's speed wasn't even comparable to a saint ruler's, so he definitely wasn't a match for the iron-boned, steel-scaled hypervenom python. Therefore, the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, the iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python's tail. The venomous python, if it weren't for the saint kings of the Divine Heavens sect, he would have returned to the true martial temple long ago. The purple radiance, heavenly sieve pagoda. Murong Yu's mind suddenly lit up as he thought of the broken supreme artifact. The supreme weapon's power was incomparably strong, and it should be able to temporarily offset the attack of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python. Even if it was only for a moment, Murong Yu could enter Hichu Luoshu. Purple light, heavenly sieve pagoda. He was a man of his word. With a thought from Murong Yu, the purple light, heavenly sieve pagoda turned into a purple light and shot out from between his eyebrows. Then, it rapidly expanded with the wind, rapidly expanding to the size of a millstone, circling above Murong Yu's head. With a thought, the power in Murong Yu's body surged like a raging wave. Then, like a torrent, it tore through the void and poured into the heavenly purple pagoda. Rumble. The purple light, heavenly sifting pagoda shook violently and then burst out with a dazzling five-colored light. At the same time, the might of a supreme being burst out like a torrential river, sweeping in all directions. At this moment, the saint kings of the Divine Heavens sect, including the extremely powerful iron-boned, steel-scaled venomous python, were all shocked. That was the deterrence of a superior to a subordinate. At this moment, there was only one thought in their minds: to submit. They submitted to this incomparably vast and powerful pressure. His heart and soul were shaken. Their bodies began to soften involuntarily, and they were about to fall to their knees. In particular, the fleeing saint rulers all dropped to their knees with a plop. They did not hesitate at all. Actually, it wasn't that they wanted to kneel. However, their minds could no longer control their bodies. His physical body had already submitted. Even the incomparably powerful iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python hesitated for a moment. It was this moment of hesitation that caused their attacks to stop. Murong Yu seized this opportunity and rushed into Hichu Luoshu. The purple light, heavenly sifting pagoda also smashed through the void at the moment Murong Yu disappeared. It turned into a purple stream of light and followed closely behind Murong Yu into Hichu Luoshu. The moment Murong Yu entered Hichu Luoshu, the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python had already reacted. After all, the purple light, heavenly sifting pagoda only had the might of a supreme being, but it didn't have the corresponding ability. After it reacted, its gigantic snake tail smashed through the void with a swoosh and slammed into Hichu Luoshu, who was about to be teleported away. Rumble! Hichu Luoshu was immediately hit, smashed through the void, and flew far away. Murong Yu, who was in Hichu Luoshu, was instantly smashed into pieces and turned into a bloody mist, spraying blood all over the sky. His mind was once again smashed into pieces, and his soul was also torn into several pieces. The tearing pain almost caused Murong Yu to faint instantly. However, Murong Yu's willpower was extremely strong. He endured the boundless pain and used the power of space and time to attach to Hichu Luoshu. Especially the power of time, it even sent Hichu Luoshu into a different space-time. He temporarily avoided the pursuit of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python. After entering the different space-time, the surrounding void had already stabilized. Then, Murong Yu activated the teleportation function of Hichu Luoshu and teleported away from the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python. Roar! After Murong Yu left, The iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python had already discovered him. Therefore, after an earth-shattering sound, the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python quickly unleashed its power. Therefore, the holy kings of the divine heavens sect were met with tragedy. In just a moment they had already been shattered into pieces. They couldn't be any more dead. At this point, the holy kings of the divine heavens sect who had entered the fearsome beast mountain range had all been annihilated. Boom, boom, boom. After killing these holy kings, the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python still couldn't vent its anger from the theft of the Tianyuan fruit. It continued to go on a rampage, emitting waves of even more powerful aura. While the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python was raging, several extremely violent auras either shot out from the fearsome beast mountain range or from outside the mountain range. They were either demonic beasts, human holy kings, or even holy kings from other clans. However, they all had one thing in common: they were powerful, extremely powerful. The aura that erupted from their bodies was far more powerful than the ancestor saints of the divine heavens sect, and even the ancestor saint peak expert. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. These experts emitting extremely powerful auras were extremely fast and appeared above the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python in an instant. The supreme weapon was emitted from the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python's nest. Let's go down and take a look. The first expert who came here whispered, then took a step forward and flew straight to the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python's nest. Roar. The iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python was already extremely angry. Now that it saw someone rushing over, it was immediately enraged and unleashed its strongest attack to attack the person. "Little bastard, don't be rude." The person who came shouted in a low voice, not caring at all. Then, the person just pointed out with a finger, bang! The ferocious iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python, which many ancestor saints couldn't do anything to, exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Powerful. What was the strength of this person? A chaos ancestor saint? Or a supreme master? He actually killed the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python so easily. Seeing this scene, the people of the Divine Heavens sect who hadn't killed the python were all stunned. After killing the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python with a finger, the expert pinched 2 fingers in the void and directly imprisoned the soul of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python, then read its memory. It's really the purple light heavenly Rhoda. But who on earth has the purple light heavenly Rhoda tower? From the memory of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python, the expert saw the scene where Murong Yu took out the purple light heavenly Rhoda tower. However, Murong Yu's appearance was so blurry that he couldn't see it clearly at all. After crushing the soul of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python with a finger, the expert's figure flashed and entered the nest. At this time, the experts had already rushed in and entered the nest of the iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python. However, they all gained nothing. As for whether they fought, Murong Yu didn't know, and it wasn't his concern. He was now healing in Hichu Luoshu, and the Tianyuan fruit was quietly floating beside him, emitting traces of black light. It was only later that Murong Yu learned that after he left, the ferocious iron-boned, steel-scaled, highly venomous python had been killed. Then, there was a battle that was even more terrifying than the one before. After a period of time, when Murong Yu wanted to go back and uproot the Tianyuan fruit and plant it in Hichu Luoshu, he discovered that the mountain range there had long been flattened by someone with great power. Time acceleration. Murong Yu began to frantically recover in Hichu Luoshu because he didn't have much time left. If he couldn't submit the mission within half a month, he would be considered to have failed the test. Once he failed, Murong Yu didn't know what kind of difficulties would be waiting for him in the future. Under the time acceleration of Hichu Luoshu, Murong Yu used less than a day in the Holy World to recover his physical body, mind, and even soul. Then, he teleported back to True Martial Temple. Chapter 1410. True Martial Outer Hall, second floor of the Hall of Merit. This place was still deserted. Other than the outer hall disciple who was still drowsy, there were not many people in the outer hall. However, at this moment, Murong-Yu strode up from the True Martial staircase and walked quickly to the counter. Murong-Yu, have you completed the mission? Hearing the footsteps, the sleepy outer palace disciple abruptly woke up. His face revealed a trace of joy as he looked in Murong-Yu's direction. However, when he saw that it was Murong-Yu, his face turned gloomy and a sneer flashed across his face. Sorry to disappoint you, Senior. I have completed the mission. Murong-Yu was not polite and said coldly. Since the other party was from the outer hall, even if he smiled at them, the other party would still make things difficult for him. Why should he make trouble for himself? As he spoke, Murong-Yu had already taken out the crystal core of the great power King Kong Demon Ape. Rumble, just as the crystal core of the great power King Kong Demon Ape appeared on the second floor of the Hall of Merit, a terrifying aura suddenly burst out like a river and swept in all directions. Suddenly, a powerful and terrifying aura filled the entire second floor with an incomparably tyrannical aura. Deng deng deng. The first to bear the brunt was the drowsy outer hall disciple behind the counter. This guy was actually sent flying by the aura of the great power King Kong Demon Ape Crystal Core. Next were the rest of the people on the second floor. As for Murong-Yu, he was already prepared, so the aura of the great power King Kong Demon Ape Crystal Core did not have any effect on him. Murong-Yu, you did this on purpose. After being sent flying, the outer hall disciple immediately stabilized his body. However, his face was pale as he looked at Murong-Yu with shame and anger. Senior, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak whatever you want. I am here to submit the mission, so I naturally have to take out the mission item and give it to you. Isn't this normal? Why would I do it on purpose? Murong-Yu sneered in his heart and said with a cold face. However, Murong-Yu's eyes were filled with ridicule. Because he did it on purpose. It was common knowledge that these fierce beasts and demonic beasts' crystal cores, as well as saint godheads, contained powerful auras. However, under normal circumstances, these crystal cores and saint godheads merely exuded an aura without any corresponding power. For example, the large power King Kong Demonic Ape's crystal core in Murong-Yu's hands emitted the tyrannical aura of the large power King Kong Demonic Ape when it was alive, which could intimidate anyone below him. Of course, it was only to intimidate them. Because it did not erupt with the corresponding strength, it did not cause any substantial harm to those who were intimidated. If Murong-Yu activated the power of this crystal core, he would definitely be able to kill this outer palace disciple. However, Murong-Yu was here to hand in the mission, not to kill. Moreover, there was no need to waste this crystal core to kill this outer palace disciple. With his strength, he could easily kill him. You! The outer palace disciple was enraged, endless killing intent burst out from his body. But what Murong-Yu said was the truth. He couldn't do anything to Murong-Yu. Of course, if he wanted to make things difficult for Murong-Yu, he had plenty of means. Therefore, he smiled sinisterly and said in a cold voice, Murong-Yu, how do I know this is the large power King Kong Demonic Ape's crystal core? All crystal cores are the same, don't think you can fool me with some garbage crystal core. Moreover, everyone knows that the large power King Kong Demonic Ape's strength is incomparable. Even an ancient saint can't do anything to it, not to mention it's in the depths of the fierce beast mountain range. A low-level imperishable realm cultivator like you can't enter the fierce beast mountain range. Good, Murong-Yu, you're really audacious. You dare to fool me, fool the Merit Hall. Today I'll take you down and punish you. The outer palace disciple shouted and jumped out from behind the counter. He stretched out his big hand and grabbed the large Power King Kong demonic ape's crystal core in Murong Yu's hand. If he took the crystal core and then replaced it with another fierce beast's crystal core, Murong Yu would become unreasonable even if he was in the right. Murong Yu was furious and almost couldn't help but want to kill. This Outer Palace disciple was really too audacious. He dared to publicly slander Murong Yu and ignore the Merit Hall's rules. Were those big shots in the Outer Palace really so unscrupulous? Even the Merit Hall's elder was under their control? However, although Murong Yu was furious and wanted to kill, he didn't retreat. However, he didn't attack. Instead, he retreated. If he attacked, then the other party would immediately add another crime of disrespecting his elders and beating up a Merit Hall disciple. In that case, the Merit Hall's experts would definitely deal with him. Unless Murong Yu didn't want to stay in the Merit Hall anymore, he couldn't attack in the Merit Hall. In the process of retreating, Murong Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent. Murong Yu's killing intent towards the Outer Palace disciple in front of him and the big shots in the Outer Palace became more and more intense. At the same time, he also felt that the true martial temple was declining. Even now, it was still the strongest temple in the human clan. However, who knew if the true martial temple was really strong or if it was just a boast? Murong Yu felt that the true martial temple's people were wantonly suppressing other disciples. This kind of sect couldn't be that strong. Could it be that the true martial temple's strength is just a facade? Is it just the true martial supreme who is strong? Murong Yu thought. His guess wasn't without reason. Ever since he joined the true martial temple, he had been suppressed in the preparatory hall. Now, the Outer Palace disciples continued to suppress him. It wasn't hard to imagine that the inner palace of the true martial temple would be the same. After all, if the inner palace of the true martial temple wasn't like this, how could the Outer Palace disciples dare to suppress a genius so wantonly? As the saying goes, if the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. Perhaps the true martial temple really was just a facade. Because the true martial supreme was stronger than the unparalleled supreme, the true martial temple could trample the unparalleled palace underfoot. As for the other holy grounds, because they didn't have a supreme, they were naturally not as strong as the true martial temple and the unparalleled palace. Arrogant because of the favor. If the true martial temple continued like this, it would definitely decline. If the true martial supreme died, the true martial temple wouldn't even be considered a holy ground. It would immediately be trampled under the feet of the other holy grounds. However, if that's the case, why did the little lowly want to join the true martial temple? Murong Yu had a flash of doubt in his heart. He knew that the little lowly's identity was definitely not simple. The reason why she asked him to join the true martial temple was definitely not a casual remark. Little bastard, you dare to escape? Let's see where you can escape to. The Outer Palace disciple was in the profound sage realm. He stretched out his hand, but he couldn't even touch the corner of Murong Yu's clothes. Thus, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Seeing this scene, the other disciples on the second floor immediately surrounded them. Hearing the roar of the Outer Palace disciple, many disciples on the first floor also rushed up. More and more people came. However, under the watchful eyes of so many people, he, a profound sage realm powerhouse, couldn't even take down a rank 1 undead realm disciple. This made the Outer Palace disciple even more furious. Little bastard, you have the audacity to use the crystal cores of other vicious beasts to pass off as the crystal cores of the vicious beasts required for the mission. This kind of blatant disregard of the Merit Hall is really shameless. Why haven't you surrendered yet? The Outer Palace disciple shouted. Hearing this, the other disciples all looked at Murong Yu, their eyes full of contempt. It's fine if you don't have the ability to complete the mission, but you actually dared to use the crystal cores of other vicious beasts to pass off as the mission items. How audacious! You can't even kill an undead realm vicious beast. You don't have the qualifications to become an outer palace disciple of our true martial temple. You should just kill this kind of person. Everyone was discussing, criticizing, and sneering at Murong-yu. The outer palace disciple sneered again and again, but in his heart, he was very proud. However, Murong-yu's movement technique was really too brilliant. He couldn't touch Murong-yu at all, which made him quite depressed. Murong-yu's face became more and more gloomy. I'm just a rank 1 undead realm powerhouse, but they asked me to kill a Sage King realm vigorous King Kong demon ape. This is the assessment task for me to become an outer palace disciple from a janitor disciple. When I used all the means and resources that I had accumulated for countless years to finally kill the vigorous King Kong demon ape, they framed me for handing in the crystal cores of other vicious beasts when I came to submit the mission. I know that they are suppressing me, because I'm a weapon refining and alchemy genius, a janitor disciple who can refine middle-grade sacred weapons, because I'm Murong-yu. Is this the true martial temple? Is the true martial temple already controlled by them? Is it their true martial temple? I joined because of the strength of the true martial temple. If this is the real true martial temple, then I don't have to be a disciple of the true martial temple. Murong-yu was also angry and roared loudly. Hearing Murong-yu's words, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air. An undead realm disciple went to kill a vigorous King Kong demon ape? That's a terrifying vicious beast with the strength of a sage king. He's Murong-yu? A weapon refining and alchemy genius among the janitor disciples? How long has he been a janitor disciple? He broke through to the undead realm so quickly? Everyone was shocked, but they also felt that it was a pity, because they had vaguely heard about Murong-yu. He was suppressed by the big shots among the outer palace disciples. Although they felt that it was a pity, no one said anything, because they couldn't afford to offend those people. Audacious madman, talking nonsense, you dare to slander an outer palace disciple and insult the true martial temple, you deserve to die. Hearing Murong-yu's words, the outer palace disciple's expression changed wildly. He roared again and again, erupting with extreme strength to grab Murong-yu. Seeing everyone's reaction, Murong-yu's heart turned cold. Forget it. It's fine if I don't want to be a true martial temple disciple. If this place doesn't accept people, there will be other places to accept people. I don't believe that other temples can't accept me. Murong-yu fiercely gritted his teeth, his eyes became firm, and killing intent burst out. Chapter 14:11. In the Punishment Hall of the True Martial Sacred Hall. The Punishment Hall was the main hall of the true martial temple that was in charge of punishment. It didn't matter if the disciples violated the rules or if other forces or saints offended the true martial temple. The Punishment Hall was the one that dealt with all sorts of matters. At this moment, a burly middle-aged man was sitting cross-legged in one of the main halls of the Punishment Hall. He seemed to be cultivating. Even so, a terrifying aura like that of a prehistoric beast erupted from his body. It was as if a primordial beast was lurking there, ready to unleash its greatest power at any time to take someone's life. Suddenly, a few outer hall disciples of the true martial sacred hall hurriedly walked in. However, these outer hall disciples stopped when they stepped into the hall. They glanced at the middle-aged man who was resting with his eyes closed before lowering their heads. They didn't even dare to breathe. Elder Qin, Yi-jun, Huoyang, and the others have something to report. After they stopped, Yi-jun bowed to the middle-aged man and spoke in a deep voice. The middle-aged man slowly opened his eyes like a primordial beast. Immediately, an extremely violent and powerful aura swept over, violently suppressing Yi-jun and the others at the door. Yi-jun and the others felt the aura in their bodies churn like a raging sea. He couldn't help but take a few steps back with a ting-ting sound. Fortunately, the middle-aged man who was like a ferocious beast quickly retracted his aura. Even so, Yi-jun and the others still didn't dare to breathe. This man who looked like a primordial beast was one of the elders of the punishment hall. It was said that his strength had reached the level of a chaotic ancestor saint. Moreover, he was vicious and merciless. Regardless of whether it was a disciple of the true martial sacred hall or someone from other forces, as long as they violated the rules of the true martial sacred hall or offended the true martial sacred hall, he would definitely not show mercy and mercilessly punish them. He would even directly kill them. He was one of the most terrifying elders of the punishment hall. Even though Jun and the others were big shots among the outer hall disciples, they didn't dare to offend this elder. Qin Ming's gaze slowly flashed across Jun and the others. A strange look flashed across his face. There weren't many disciples in the true martial sacred hall who were proficient in weapon refinement and alchemy. It could even be said that the true martial sacred hall was at the bottom of the human sacred grounds in terms of weapon refinement and alchemy. Therefore, the sect would focus on cultivating disciples with talent in weapon refinement and alchemy. They might even make an exception for him. It was just like how the elder that Murong Yu had met before had asked Murong Yu to join the inner palace. Therefore, when Qin Ming saw Jun and the other 5 disciples, he had no choice but to take them seriously. This was because Jun and the others were either big shots in the true martial temple's outer hall or big shots in alchemy. They were all disciples that the true martial temple had focused on nurturing. It wasn't that Qin Ming couldn't afford to offend these people. He could kill these people if he wanted to. However, he just didn't want the true martial temple to lose talent. "What is it?" Qin Ming asked with an indifferent expression. To him, being able to behave like this was already considered to be very amiable. "Elder Qin, it's like this. Recently, a servant disciple of our true martial sacred palace has offended his superiors, offended the inner palace and outer palace disciples, and even killed outer palace disciples several times. At this time, he even wanted to use the crystal cores of other ferocious beasts to pass off as the crystal cores of the mission beast. Now, he was fighting in the true martial sacred hall's main hall, and he wanted to kill the disciples of the Hall of Merit. We really couldn't stand it anymore, and we want to capture him and hand him over to the punishment hall. However, we aren't from the punishment hall after all, and it's not good for us to overstep our authority. Therefore, we can only report this matter to Elder Qin. I hope Elder Qin can deal with it as soon as possible." Li Chen took a step forward and said in a deep voice. He was the master blacksmith of the outer palace of the true martial temple, and he was a powerful existence who could refine peerless sacred weapons. "There's actually such a traitor?" After hearing Jun's words, Qin Ming, who had a fiery temper, was immediately enraged. A violent killing intent surged out and shrouded Jun and the others, causing their blood to churn. They were inexplicably horrified. "Han Ping, Luowu, are you here?" After being enraged, Qin Ming suddenly roared. Before he finished speaking, Jun and the others saw 2 figures appear out of thin air in the main hall. Although they had long known that Qin Ming's 2 eldest disciples were powerful, they couldn't help but be shocked when they saw the strength they displayed with their own eyes. "Quickly go to the 2nd floor of the Hall of Merit to capture Murong Yu. If there's any resistance, kill without mercy," Qin Ming shouted coldly. Han Ping and Luo Wu immediately responded, then their figures flashed and disappeared on the spot. They flew towards the Hall of Merit at full speed. After Han Ping and Luo Wu left, Jun and the others looked at each other, then bid farewell and left as well. After angering Elder Qin Ming, Murong Yu is dead for sure this time. After leaving the punishment hall, Jun smiled sinisterly. The others also smiled tacitly. Originally, they wanted to kill Murong Yu with their own hands. This was because they had sent people to kill Murong Yu many times, but they were unsuccessful. As long as Murong Yu became an outer palace disciple, it would be even more difficult for them to kill him. Moreover, as long as Murong Yu didn't leave the true martial temple, They wouldn't dare to make a move in the true martial temple. Once Murong Yu became an outer palace disciple, then he could accept missions to refine weapons and pills. At that time, Murong Yu, who had a lot of merits, could exchange them for various cultivation resources. At that time, Murong Yu's strength would be even more powerful. When he became a servant disciple, he was only in the 3rd level of the undead realm. Now, only a few years had passed, and he had already broken through to the undead realm. This kind of cultivation speed gave Yi Jun and the others a strong threat. Therefore, they devised such a scheme, wanting to borrow Qin Ming's hand to kill Murong Yu. They all knew that once Murong Yu fell into Qin Ming's hands, he would die without a doubt. When Han Ping, Luo Wu, and the others were ordered to capture Murong Yu was completely infuriated by the outer palace disciple of the Hall of Merit. If this place doesn't want me, there will be a place for me. These bastards are going too far. It's fine if I don't want to be a true martial temple disciple. Murong Yu was furious, and a thought of rebelling against the true martial temple appeared in his mind. After this thought appeared, the various negative emotions that had been suppressed over the years became even more intense. The thought of making Murong Yu rebel against the true martial temple became even more intense. Since he wants to rebel against the true martial temple, then this person must not be left alive. Murong Yu's heart was ruthless, and his killing intent was overflowing. At the same time, the outer palace disciple rushed over again. Since you want to die, then I'll fulfill your wish. Murong Yu roared in his mind. This time, he did not blindly dodge, but directly rushed up. The power in his body surged like a stormy sea. The impact caused Murong Yu's clothes to flutter without any wind. 1,000 army elephant pulling fist. Murong Yu roared in his heart and punched out. The outer palace disciple was very angry because after fighting for a long time, he did not even touch Murong Yu's clothes. At this moment, he saw Murong Yu actually punching over. A touch of joy and ridicule immediately appeared on his face. He was a profound sage, and Murong Yu was only at the low-level undead realm. There was a gap of a whole realm between the two. He did not think that Murong Yu was his opponent just because his movement technique was good. Therefore, he grinned and punched out as well. Is Murong Yu crazy? He actually wants to fight the opponent head-on? Seeing Murong Yu's actions, the disciples watching from the side all shook their heads. No one was optimistic about Murong Yu's chances. Boom! In a split second, the fists of Murong Yu fiercely collided in midair, erupting with an earth-shattering sound. Then, a figure was fiercely sent flying like a broken rag doll. Murong Yu is dead for sure. Everyone shook their heads, feeling that it was a pity. However, in the next moment, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. This was because they discovered that the one who had been sent flying was not Murong Yu, but the profound Sage Realm Outer Hall disciple. What's going on? Murong Yu actually sent a profound Sage Realm Outer Hall disciple flying with one punch? Moreover, that disciple seems to be seriously injured? Everyone's faces were filled with shock and disbelief. That Outer Hall disciple madly vomited blood in midair, and his face was also filled with fear and astonishment. Who is Murong Yu? Just as Murong Yu sent that Outer Hall disciple flying with one punch, Han Ping and Luo Wu had already appeared on the 2nd floor of the Merit Palace Hall. After a loud shout, before anyone could answer, their gazes had already locked onto Murong Yu. Their intuition told them that this person was the one they wanted to capture. Therefore, they looked at each other, and then simultaneously rushed towards Murong Yu. Murong Yu, who was about to take advantage of the situation to chase after them, suddenly discovered that he had been locked onto by two incomparably powerful forces. Therefore, he turned his head and saw two extremely intense rays of light rushing towards him. Audacious madman, don't be rude. We are the first elders of the Punishment Hall, Elder Qin Ming. We have been ordered to capture Murong Yu. Why don't you surrender without a fight? Luo Wu shouted. His speed was not slow, and he had already stretched out his large hand to grab Murongyu. Punishment Hall? Hearing these 3 words, the majority of the people in the hall could not help but tremble. To them, the punishment hall was definitely the most terrifying place in the true martial temple. It was a place they were unwilling to take even half a step into for the rest of their lives. However, these 2 first disciples had actually come to capture Murongyu today? What was going on? After coming back to their senses, they all looked at Murongyu with sympathetic gazes, feeling that Murongyu was definitely going to die. Murongyu felt their gazes, and his heart sank. However, since he had already decided to rebel against the true martial temple, not to mention the first disciples of Elder Qin Ming, even if Elder Qin Ming came personally, he would not be able to stop him from killing. Therefore, he only snorted coldly, then took a step forward and charged towards the first disciple who had been sent flying by his punch. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.